All right, now, and I'm back. It should be recording nice and clear. But yeah, the phone died, man. Not phone, but computer died on accident. Phone was near dead. But as you can see, I apparently it stopped 18 minutes in on me. So y'all didn't hear most. I can't even remember how long I was live after that. But I had to been talking to myself for a good minute, man. And at the end of the day, as y'all can see, I'm just going to briefly leave this off right here. I was showing the essence of Mercury because the thing is, Mercury is the first planet. This is not the video, like I was saying. This is not the whole purpose of the video because I showed this 2 videos ago. I showed this exact video that I'm showing right here. The purpose of this video that I'm making right now is the video that I'm going to show after this, which I can't remember whether y'all saw me briefly play that or not. But that's what I'll be playing after this, which is what this whole video is really encompassing over. Like I showed in the beginning of the other video, the quarter of the moon is apparently, based on their metrics and stuff, for lack of better words and everything, they are using certain measurements and everything, and numbers, and all of these different things tie into one purpose. Um, And all I'm doing is showing people, and I asked people in that previous stream, I started off by asking, it's just because somebody white, does that make them wrong? You know, uh, and I asked that out of sincerity because a lot of people would say, them the same people, who gave us this knowledge and gave us that knowledge and they did this to us and that. And that's why I asked that because these same people, I no matter what people do with it, if facts are facts, it's just something I'm not even just because if something disproves my stuff, you best believe the day that it disproves my stuff, it's gonna be the day that I bow down and I'd be like, damn, it it was all a dream, But that's what I was saying previously in the other video. This would not be synchron like with real synchronicity. It's one thing. I'm basically showing y'all work at the end of the day. I'm showing y'all my process of work. That's the whole purpose of these videos is to um, not only just for myself, but to show the process of my work for people who think to themselves, because I could just be an individual who just comes out here with conclusive answers and just says one thing. Because I got a conclusion that I never even said to people, but I'm not going to say it because of certain circumstances. But like I say, man, I'm not. 4 and 5 is what you see right there, plain as day. You know, Jupiter and Saturn are the only two uh, I mean, not numbers, but astrological symbols that look anything like numbers besides the Cancer 6 and 9, and that's just a fact. So that stands out within itself. I just wish that everything that I said in that other video before it cut off, or after it cut off, I wish that could still be heard, man. It kind of got me riled up because I can't remember everything that I said and summarize it either. But the first planet, which is this right here, is number one. I was showing and I proved so much in that previous video, man. I was showing something brand new. I can't remember whether this got shown and all of that, but I had to get another piece of graph paper or something or just start anew. But what I was showing is that within my work, it's so much stuff that I ain't explained. But in between, with the 357, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, the odd numbers, uh, or not odd numbers, yeah, odd numbers. Pretty much like the 357 with the Freemasons, they emphasize 3, 5, and 7. That's what I was, showing right here is that 5 minus 4 equals 1. Well, if everything right here is cut to the halfway point, or cut halfway through, it's sectored off into halves, just like the Nazca lines was. I did this before I even knew the Nazca lines. This is a principle in all of my work. It can be seen there. Everything is from my first diagram to this right here, even having the center line with the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 down the center. Now, the thing about this right here is this is the actual line itself, and me just being able to put the numbers right there to show people that this counter space right here matters. That's why I was saying what we live in is a fractal system of what's above, man. And just because somebody don't get it, this video that I'm about to show, it shows that I'm not alone in thinking like I think and showing the stuff that I show. I've showed stuff that syncs up, like shows the essence of my name and everything with stuff that's going on, like the coronavirus. People let that go over their head. I know a lot of people would think like out of the billions of people it is in the world and the billions of years that the world has been around. And, excuse me. All of the alignments and everything that it is, and that you think that this one has something to do with you, but that's what I'm showing through my work as well, man. Those people who think that simplistic just don't get the level I'm at spiritual, even at my root level. How powerful you have to realize, those individuals have to realize that what I'm showing and proving through my work is that everything happens as it is for a reason. Everything happens as it is for a reason. That's why you see over and over again, things keep on lining back up, because who is this information coming to? It's coming directly to me like a magnet. I'm not, I can't make these people this type of stuff. This video was 3 years ago, before PR Corey even thought of 4.5. So this video has got the conjunction symbols right there. And I was saying that about the conjunction with y'all, with the Mercury thing. Mercury conjuncted with Jupiter and Saturn right after, and nobody acted like anything meant anything. No, but people claimed they was feeling energy, and everything when Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted. That was so hilarious to me. So this symbol right here is Mercury, okay? Which is the first planet. I'm showing people, people can think whatever it is they want to think and all of that, but I'm showing people my work and the process that I'm going to. It's not about me really having a conclusive answer. It should be respectable that I'm up here showing, even broadcasting my work and what I'm doing and my thought process. Because this is just me proving that once I do come to a conclusion, or whatever conclusion this may help anybody come to in the future about anything, this proves, and this is, showing that I did the work. That this didn't come from just out of nowhere. It was a process. This whole thing that was set up through a process. The Nazca lines, because the average person would probably think, what if it come out to this, what if the worst circumstances, all of this, that's the thing about this. This is the greatest circumstances possible. This answers so many questions to where, people, the average person wouldn't even get where to start. And that's just being real. I keep it discreet. This right here is the fact that this decrypted the Nazca lines like it does. These points right here, the Estrella Nazca line specifically, the fact that it does that alone is what I have to do this project. It's no way out of it. It's stuck like glue with me. I could not stop it if I wanted to. And I only work on this project, like I was saying in the previous video, when I am feeling a certain type of energy. That's because God knows the creator knows what type of power. Everybody, carrying their own frequency and energy and everything like that, thought waves and everything. Everybody got their own form. And I know that mine is very extremely powerful. And some of y'all, probably think to yourselves, especially when I say you can't feel energy through no doggone camera, which I still stand on as facts. But if you could, think about it. It's either that person who you claim your energy you can feel got some very, very strong energy. It don't even matter whether it's negative or positive, because really the perceiver matters as well. The perceiver, perceive and receive got the same letters within it for the same reason. Perceive and receive. So the perceiver, who says that they feel a certain type of energy in there, that person got some strong energy then. And that's just being real. And I know that my energy is extremely potent. Extreme. uh extremely. And the fact is, man, when I look at this right here and I look at what's happened in the sky, and I show this video, and it's thing after thing with, I shouldn't, I mean, technically, I'm not making these people making these videos that's linking up with what I'm talking about. I don't know these people or anything, but it's proven more so that I'm on the right path and that I'm right, and others may need to reconsider them being wrong. And I just say may just to be friendly.
It's great to alert his owner for any change in his well-being. The copper will make the turquoise change the intensity of the stone color.
Jupiter and Saturn right there, you saw those. So this is the video that I was talking about that we got cut off on, that y'all did not get to proceed watching.
Hello and a warm welcome to all of you joining this video. Thank you very much for being with me. You're looking at the fabulous interior of Siena Cathedral, famous for its striped columns and inlaid marble floor. The Elizabethan poet and playwright Edward de Vere, 17th Earl of Oxford, stood...
When I was saying that that's 45 degrees, I can't remember whether, pretty sure I got cut off by that point, but the thing, this started off with 45 degrees. The octagon is all, that's what that is an octagon, an eight-sided polygon. And the thing is, an octagon, an equilateral octagon, is all of the angles are at 45 degrees, every last one. And that's highly important. That's what a lot of people, this is stuff that's being pointed out by, that other people are slowly, because other people spreading the word, or hey, like I said, the ether and everything, people who don't even listen to me, they come out saying the word that I've been saying. This right here was made 3 weeks ago, this video. It's called The Divinity of Man. So this was made 3 weeks ago. I just showed you a previous video with that skull with the 4 and 5 / the Jupiter and Saturn, the conjunction symbols. And it's, that it ain't just, that's 3 years ahead. So if this stuff means nothing, hey, why is the astrological symbols and stuff that we witnessing, man, synonymous with events that's happening on this earth? If these people and everything that they put out is the 100% false, it's 100% false information. I was also saying as well, just talking about, male and female energy and how people perceive it and everything. Because I got my own thoughts as far as it. I don't just think right along with the crowd. And I was talking about the sun and the moon. I can't. I had to have been on for a minute talking to myself, man. But what? I ain't gonna get back into that. Negative with the sun and the moon, the male and female, all of that, because that's just going to extend it too long. But 4 and 5, man. That's what I noticed with that. One of the first things is just like the sun and the moon, and not just in actuality, but just the polarity base of it. It's a balance type of thing going on.
Here in early January 1576, admiring no doubt this splendid depiction of the 7 ages of man, advancing from infantia to decrepitas, a concept most famously presented in the speech All the World's a Stage, from As You Like It. Note how the grave scene is placed within a square that is centered onto a cross. Oxford would have understood the significance of that, just as he would have marvelled at the inlaid marble portrait close by of this man, Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, an Egyptian sage, anciently identified as Hermes Mercury, who was believed in the Renaissance to have been a contemporary of Moses, living about 1400 years before Christ. It's interesting that this image should have found its way into a Catholic cathedral. There was a time when the teachings of Hermes were regarded as some form of prophecy or advance notice of the coming of Christianity. But following the popularization of his teachings in the Latin translations of Marsilio Ficino in the late 15th century, the church spurned his writings and even executed those such as Giordano Bruno, who preached his message too loudly or too competent.
Now, this is the thing. See, that's where I'm saying. What I will say is because I don't agree with the fact of, with the man, just taking the role of but I ain't going to just sit up here and just act like, because I talked about, I talked briefly about the unfair, a lot of people don't realize, hey, it's just even on both ends. Some things men got easier and some things women got easier. That's just in reference to what's been up in the area lately. Some things women just got easier than men. For instance, I was talking about here with this art thing that I do. A lot of men, would look at it as something feminine, because you draw and stuff like that. That's just how a lot of men think, It was a girl, who was younger than me, came up under me, and could draw. When I say came up under me, I'm saying as far as age. She was younger than me, from the same city and everything, could draw very good. And I ain't speaking out of hateration, but I'm just saying I'm proving the biasness through what I'm saying. And this is just me speaking from experience, because they say speak for yourself. So I'm speaking from my experience, and that's just a fact. Beyond that, within itself, other people I've witnessed in life go through similar instances. But when it comes to work and we talking about man, having the most money and all of this stuff that, all of this stuff that come into play. Women, what are the highest paying jobs? It ain't the ones out there doing the most work as far as out there physicality. The highest paying jobs is what? The ones where people is got other people, they ain't got to lift a finger. They pretty much just making the orders. A self-perpetuating aspect is going on, based off of other people's energy and them, committed to the job. So what am I getting at? Is those are office jobs. That's a fact. Usually people who are in those positions, able to do that, is in office jobs. So what I'm getting at is, who do you think is going to get the position in any job case? The dude just because he's smart, just because he's been to college even? You think that he gonna get the job, or is this fine ass girl just based off of her looks alone gonna get this job? You think that dude you think that dude who running that job gonna pass up on that if he's straight? You think he gonna pay? Because I witnessed this happen in firsthand when I used to even just work in small workforce jobs, Walmart and stuff like that back in the day. You see it happen, man. The girls get stuff handed to them just based on their looks alone. So what I'm saying is, that's something that, as far as what people have been talking about here lately, that's just my quick perspective, not my holistic perspective, just a piece, because I don't voice my opinions on it because it's something that's opinionated, really. People are it's always going to be one person that disagree. And I ain't speaking out here to search for disagreements. I speak out here to speak the truth. I ain't out here just to argue. See, people who look for disagreements and stuff like that, them people who like to argue, actually, and they ain't really on here liking to argue and trying to argue and stuff. So at the end of the day, especially on the opinionated stuff, and but the opinion that I am speaking is based on the factual events that I have went through in life. And the fact is, women get a lot of stuff handed to them, and It ain't just 100% a man's world based off just that alone. You know, a lot of actions and choices that men make is based off of what women want and what they desire. Um, that's just a fact, man. A lot of stuff that men do every day is because of what they desire out of women. And that's just talking about the feminine masculine aspect, because I sense that a lot of stuff is really, people biased on when it comes to it. It's wild. Just it's crazy, man. So I mean, factually speaking, man, that's just a quick story as far as what I've not story, but just reality event as far as what I've been through in regards to corporate jobs. Usually women don't get the job basically what I'm saying is women get a lot of stuff handed to them based on their looks. So a lot of stuff in life is easier for women, actually. They ain't got to work as hard as us, even at a job where you ain't got to do a lot of work, is what I'm saying. And niggas will look at something like this as a lot of men will look at, something like he ain't doing no physical work and stuff. He ain't busting no sweat, so it ain't really no work and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying, man. People who think like that and are that simplistic minded, they just don't get it, man. It takes some patience. It takes honor, time, and it take a mind to sit up and do what I'm doing. And I dare anybody, anybody out there who can draw or can't draw, to sit up and try to work on one picture of themselves. Just try to draw yourself. Sit down. I give you a week to try to draw yourself. Perfect a drawing of yourself without no art classes. No art classes. Nobody teaches you nothing, because I never had nobody teach me anything. I did everything on my own. My ability all came from me, from hard work and talent within myself generated. Sit down and try to draw something and watch how frustrated. I don't care how many weights you lift. I don't care how much you work out. I don't care how big you think you is, how tough you think you is. Just because you work other jobs and bust sweats, you're going to bust some sweats and you're going to get real frustrated that day or that week. It's going to be a real rough week for you. If you were supposed to get paid based on your quality of work, you're going to fail, partner. Everybody got their strengths. So that's what I'm saying. Just because a man does something like this, it don't take away from his manhood, And quite frankly, a lot of stuff as far as what, positions that women do even have, it's just a lot of stuff that go into it, man. I ain't getting into the whole male versus female thing. I'm just saying, with the whole polarity aspect as far as what people have been talking about, that's something that a viewpoint that ain't gonna give voice or ain't seen give voice or heard give voice. And I bring it up in relation to this right here because of them talking about the male and hermetic philosophy and things like that, which I ain't into or nothing. And just how they view women briefly, it's just because people view or have a certain view on certain things, it don't cancel out they knowledge 100%. That's all that I'm saying on that end as far as this.
The problem was that Hermes taught that man was divine, and this had a profound effect on the greatest intellectuals of the 16th and 17th centuries. People like Leonardo da Vinci, Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, and Leibniz were all drawn to what is now known as the Hermetic philosophy. In England, this mode of understanding was embraced by such luminaries as Edward de Vere Shakespeare, Philip Sidney, Edward Spencer, Francis Bacon, and Isaac Newton. Today, Hermeticism survives as the philosophic and theological epicenter of Freemasonry. If you want to understand the worldview of intellectual Tudor England, I recommend this scholarly English translation of the Hermetic Corpus by Brian Copenhaver. There is frankly no better place to start than here. Now, Hermes argues that God is inseparable from his creation. He is all that is, and that man holds a special place as his intellect and soul are the intellect.
He is all that is. I know they're using he and all of that, but is what it is. Hence my phrase. And he also says within this right here, he brings up the phrase, know thyself, which is something that somebody else around and a lot of other people synonymous, not just that one person, but a highly used phrase by him. So a lot of stuff, we can, of course, look down on these people for things that they, or knowledge they withhold, secrets, or whatever you want to call it. We can look down on things that they say, but even some things that we say we might not realize sync up and are the same exact things that they be saying. It's passed down, because I ain't heard that from nobody else, because I don't, like I say, I'm not into Hermetic philosophy. So know thyself is something that I myself did not know was a Hermetic philosophy before it was said within this time.
And soul of God. His earthly task, therefore, is to study God's creation and to know himself in preparation for the reunification of mind and soul after his death. Know yourself is one of the key messages of Hermes. As to is this, he writes, the greatest evil in mankind is ignorance. Seek then a guide to take you by the hand and lead you to the portals of knowledge. There shines the light, cleansed of all darkness. He is talking, of course, of the ignorance of self, the ignorance of God. Seek then a guide to take you by the hand. Well, who better to do that than William Shakespeare, who stands immortally in Leicester Square, cast in marble, pointing to his own words, there is no darkness but ignorance, clearly drawn directly.
Now, the thing is about know thyself, like when I be posting, or was when I had that Instagram, when I was posting the post about me, that's why I say it's a lot of people who think that I'm self-centered, probably, based off of their actions and stuff like that, because of how I think and how I portray as 45 and stuff like that. It's not the case. Hence back to their phrase that they, know thyself. Know thyself is what they, so I'm studying nature, but likewise, I'm also studying myself, and I see a lot of synchronicities, a very lot of synchronicities that line up with just my name and my being. It's so much that I'm finding out about myself. And it ain't just a cool look, just a cool thing. This is cool. This look like this sound like this when it's said, this number look almost like, no, that's not what's going on. A fact is a fact, man. And numbers ain't gonna lie. That's why the base of all of the stuff that I show you really be number based. I got math to prove what I'm talking about. So the thing is, when it come down to it, I'm getting so focused on this right here, getting in a trance. Yeah, that's what I was saying about my name and everything. When I show things that have to do with me, like for instance, when I say quarry and when I show coronavirus, things like this, when people talk about gematria, all of this stuff, which I go back and I clearly show, Jacob's ladder, I could pull up the gematrinator, all of that stuff, DNA come out to be, how could anybody say that stuff means anything in one moment, and then when I'm showing all of that fire behind just who I am and what link up with me and what I've been saying, DNA come out to be 45. Nobody says anything or have anything to say about that. Nobody think that got any significance between what I'm showing. When I've said that at the end of the day, what I'm showing people is data compression as well. This is the key to the universe. Therefore, it's going to tie into almost everything that's living based off of that fact. If it wasn't the key to the universe, the united verse, which unites everything united, hey, it wouldn't be what I'm saying it is. So that's why it ties in and it keeps on reappearing, because I'm the one who's pointing, and like I said, it's a ripple effect, just like a virus. Just like a virus spreads, you might not know that you're infected yet. You might not know you're infected yet. You're probably sick and symptomless. You know what I mean? Just like the coronavirus. But the fact is, you're sick in a good way. You've been infected. You don't realize it, but the disease is spreading across the world. And people, what I mean by what I'm saying, as far as the coronavirus, the Corey virus, what you're witnessing is people starting to see what I'm seeing about this numbers 4 and 5. I'm not just saying what I'm saying for no reason, because I just dropped a video saying this all about and talking about Hermes and, you know, the center point, you know, the number 1 based off of that, the first planet, you know. I'm not saying that these people are factual behind what they say. Yeah, these are the same people who created, and you know, the globe and everything. But that's why I asked what I asked. Is just because they white, it doesn't mean that, you know, or, and I say white because, hey, these is the same, these is them people who did. Does that, you know, denote everything that they say? Or is it wiser for us to think for ourselves and, hey, you know, build anew? Because if that's the case, that's exactly what I'm doing. I thought for myself and I'm building anew exactly off of what I'm doing. And it just so happens that upon thinking for myself, I'm linking right back up with what they already saying. And then they linking back up with what I'm saying. It might not be everything. The only thing is even a discrepancy is this whole globe and flat earth aspect. I see where they got numbers where the same exact numbers, of course, is timed back into the numbers that I got here. But as well, you know, the ratios of the earth and the moon, all of this different stuff, you know, it's all, you know, globe based, but my stuff, like I'm saying, is flat earth cosmology based, crystalline based. You know, this ain't nothing that's just talk. You can look at the structure of an actual crystal and witness exactly what I'm talking about. Literally, a diamond lattice. You know, all of this stuff can be looked up, man. And it ain't got to be looked up. It can be experimented, literally. It ain't about looking things up. It's about really doing it. So 4 minus 5 equals 1, which is the first planet. And I was saying with Jupiter and Saturn, and the number line that we use is basically just in a sum, kind of like, if I really put it in a sum, like the planets. The sun, like I say, would be the 0, which emits the 0 is the degrees, 360 degrees, or 0, a whole, or a whole, HOLE, you know, and then proceeding from that point, you know, 1 and, you know, going on. Flat earth, if you take a earth, which is balled up out of the lineup, by default, the 4th and 5th planets end up being Saturn and Jupiter. Am I saying that that lineup is 100% correct? Am I saying that it's a lineup at all as far as what the firmament is and what the planets is? I am not. I'm not being conclusive. But what I have shown you is that magic squares. I've shown you the magic square of Jupiter. I've shown you the magic square of Saturn. I've shown you the magic square of Mercury. And it just so happens that every last one of them ties right back into my work. Every last one. I mean, not off on one of them. So not only that, the Nazca lines, when people ask certain questions, I've answered all of that stuff through my work. Why are there questions that people don't ask or never would even think to know the answer to? Why do we stop counting? Before you can answer why we have 360 degrees in a circle, people want to use that you know, the stuff that got to do with the degrees of a circle for their stuff. And I ain't knocking it, but, you know, then when I'm talking and showing stuff about the degrees and stuff, it get, you know, treated like it's not even significant to the work. But that's what I'm saying. The flat earth and all of that stuff, man, it's deeper than just the flat earth. When you get to really talking about the symbols and all of that type of stuff, which is what I was showing y'all with my stuff right here when I was doing this. I was showing y'all geometry, which is powerful and important, just with symbols and how we draw. When you draw something, you're drawing somebody's attention. You're also withdrawing. You're withdrawing something from your thoughts or from a thought. If everything is thought and everything like that. That's why I question also before the video went off, what is thought? Have we really dwelled deep enough on what thought really is? Because what can something think if there is no language? How do you think of, I'm gonna go get a cup? What do you think to yourself, or what will one think to themselves? I'm gonna go get a cup of water. If you've never been taught what a cup of water is, or what a cup is. If you have no form of language, if you ain't even talking, how would you think to yourself, it's time to go get some water? What would be the thought? There would be no sound to project yourself. Okay, I'm gonna go get some water. Do people really think words to themselves when they do something? This is all important, because the thing is, it's a lot of stuff in life that we just do without thinking. And it's really the imagery that comes to mind. This is why I'm saying and showing that it's the imagery that really matters. The symbol and everything, like the sound does matter, but the sound can be, as far as passing down anything orally, all of that stuff can be tainted. And that's just a fact. Anybody can lie out of it. But once you can inscribe something, first, paper is one thing. That's the first stage. That's why I say, and our ancestors knew this. People can call them dumb if they want to at this point, bro. People can call it whatever they want to. People can call certain stuff fake. But all I'm doing, PR Corey, all that I'm doing out of the genuinity or whatever, out of my heart, bro, out of honesty and reality, bro. I see stuff ahead of time. And I'm just a soul with a mind years ahead of its time. That's just a fact. And I realize that in the future, if you want to put any type of knowledge or anything to have it, reserved for the future, you want to put it in stone if it's going to stand earthquakes. That's why they put that stuff in the Georgia Guidestones, not just to bring up something so, vastly known, but just, hey, for the heck of it. That's the Georgia Guidestones, and it's one of the most modern stone relevant, worldly wide known, significant monuments we have today. Imagine if we woke up to the wisdom and started putting our knowledge that we claim is so important into stone so that it would not be forgotten. It's very hard to taint something that's inscribed into stone. Very hard. It's very hard to do it once you do it. And that's why Egypt, when you look at Egypt, it's not just the fact that it's about how they did what they did, the artistic way and that's why I love, what they did. I'm not just somebody who just glorifying it. I look at what my ancestors built, and I look at the time. And I just think logistically, I ain't going off of what I'm feeling or what articles I'm reading. And just because the crowd speculating and everybody want to say, oh, it might not be real, I'm not going to just, fuck up my head and gaslight myself and just, just throw everything out the window just because everybody reading some stuff online or going with it because somebody else asked some questions that just bring up some, just another wise question. It's just a wise question, but it does not prove anything. And all I'm saying is, when I logistically think, when I look at things like the pyramids, and not just the pyramids, okay, if the pyramids is fake, what about all of the other stone works that they did that's beyond just the pyramids? How can you fake something like that within it had to have been a few hundred years of time? Not even a few. I mean, and we talking about when we talking about the technology that we so-called did not even have. And then the fact that we say that we can't really use the technology that we use today to accomplish what is already done. Something just don't add up if somebody tries to say that it's, that it's not ancient or something like that. It just don't add up. Just the work ethic. an experienced mason or architect, somebody who knows stuff about stonework and stuff like that. If you know enough about stonework, you ain't even got to go over there and touch the stones. It's just like mathematically in your mind. If you know anything about the essence of time and intricate work and art like that, bro, you know that stuff isn't, just, you can't just just throw it out the window as fake. Like, it's just crazy sounding like that. But I look at what they did and I look at the wisdom aspect of it, and what could I do today? How can I take something, even if they say that it's fake? What lessons can I learn from that being right there? I can learn something from it. And what I can learn from it is that I can apply it out here today. And if they did something wrong, obviously, if I'm wanting to judge it, then that means I can do something better than them if I'm wanting to judge it. So if they did it wrong, then I'm going to do it right. And that's just the mind that I got. And that's all that I'm doing. Because niggas, can think whatever they want to think about the ancients. But the mindset that I'm applying is if they did it wrong, and if I got the mind and the mouth to really be talking shit about it, then I'm just going to do it right. Period. Because obviously what I see is something could be done right with it. People can say whatever they want about the pyramids, but you can't fake the energy, the electromagnetic energy, or the sound acoustics. It's certain stuff that you just can't even fake with it. The acoustics, electromagnetism, that this stuff can be experimented and actually looked at. It's data, down from, and not just written data. You can observe this yourself firsthand, and it's just certain stuff that, it's just funny to me, but people feel like that's, the truth or whatever. And it is what it is. But I look at what they did and I'm going to apply better. Based off of the past, I look at the present and I'm going to make better for the future, because all three of them matter. And ain't no way I'm going to look at the past and just be a bullshitter or just be somebody just fucked up in the head and just act like nothing in the past is right. Because in the future, they could look very much at us like, okay, everybody, damn, our ancestors ain't give a fuck about us. They ain't, at least the old ancestors, they did try to put something in stone. They tried to put something in stone, but damn, them other ancestors here, our recent ones, all they cared about was Bitcoin. That's what they thought was going to free us. All they wanted to do was just get Bitcoin. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's one thing to be able to buy all of the things in this industry and stuff, the guns and all of that stuff that can, but that's buying thing. It really ain't even the buying that's going to save you. That's what I'm saying. It's the knowledge. It's the knowledge. It ain't the person who can buy the most guns. It's the person who know how to build a gun from scratch without having to go buy anything from anybody. Because once they stop the money and stop people from, if they make the guns, number one. So if they want to cut the gun laws off, I mean, cut people's supply of guns off, they stop, bringing in the guns, stop making the guns at the factories. Until then, people after that point will have to start relying on what? Their knowledge. People in the, vets and stuff like that, they know how to build a gun. That's where their knowledge comes into hand. Because you best believe, even if people can't and ain't had no guns to this day, if they took the laws away, them veterinarians, that's why they act like they act with them. Part of it, because of their knowledge that they got. Some of them know too much. And that's just a fact. Same thing goes with some police.
From Hermes Trismegistus, the idea, Shakespeare's idea, and all of these Hermetic thinkers' idea is that man is born under a veil. Hermes calls it a tunic, and you might think of it as some sort of garment.
And what I was saying as well, as far as it's the last thing, as far as the topic of male and female, and the thing is, I'm not one who just gonna sit up and just act like, because I ain't gonna just go with the crowd, and everybody just say one thing. That's why it's so opinionated. But factually speaking, people try to act like women, can. I hear so many niggas get on and act like, women can do so much more than a man can do, bro. I'm just talking about ability wise. Bro, the only thing realistically, and that's what I said in another video, the only thing realistically that a woman can do that a man can't do is give birth, man. And I'm not saying or denoting it or acting like that ain't anything special. I'm not. I'm not. But when niggas try to sit up here and act like, women, do stuff and can do stuff that men can't do, they tripping. Because at the end of the day, that's why I was saying that about earlier, about how hard I work and stuff. I can't remember. And stuff gets handed to women because they're pretty, and that's just a fact. Most of the time in life, most of these good jobs and stuff like that, women get stuff handed to them because they're pretty. Who you think gonna get a job? The smart dude in college, or the woman who got the fat ass and she fine as a mug? And this nigga who got this corporate job 9 times out of 10, he probably ain't even getting on when he was younger, but this is chance now. You think? Come on now. I witnessed it happen on the lower level. That's why I say I'm speaking from experience. So what I'm saying is women, and men, the thing is, man, it's a lot of stuff it's just a lot of stuff I feel like people don't, just don't even pay attention to, bro. Don't find no significance in or nothing, but it's just wild, bro. It's some hypocrisies.
It's the invisibility of the divine, the spirit that is within you as we plod around here on earth. As Ficino writes, know thyself, divine race, clothed with a mortal garment. And Shakespeare.
And that's what I was saying in concluding on. What is it that women can do besides give birth, nurturing? I know men who got good ass hearts. That's what I'm saying, bro. I speak on experience. I know men who got good ass hearts and can nurture a child better than a woman will. I'm just being real, I'm just being real. I ain't talking about, breastfeeding and stuff like that. Those are two things that a man can't do. Those are two things, because I left that out as far as child. Those are the two things. That's it. That's it, man. Period. That a woman can do that a man can't do. We are that's why we have so much of a problem, is because it ain't gonna help either way it go, whether on the man side, whether men trying to act like they better than women and can do more than the woman can. And it ain't gonna help as well for the men to sit up and act like them same men on the other, or just men on the contrary, to say or switch over and overt and say what I just said. It just don't make sense. That's what I'm saying. For when, let's just say that if what y'all saying is true about women being able to do anything more than men can do, aren't women supposed to be more creative than men on the creative side of the brain, as far as the right hemisphere? That's the feminine side of the brain, right? And it's associated, masculinity, all of this different stuff for the left side and all of this. I'm not saying that women can't draw, but I know more men that can draw than women can draw. And that's just a fact. That's artists. That's just being factual, And I know that a lot of men, like I have voice, a lot of men view drawing as something, feminine, because you're not getting sweaty. You're not doing this and doing that. But that's why I said what I said. Work is work. And You know, the sweatiest man, the nigga who can work as hard as he wants to like a slave, you know, can try to sit down and draw himself for $1,000. I can have $1,000 waiting for him at the end of the week. You know, and he'll be happy as hell to try to get it. Well, he can try all week. I could then give him a month to try to perfect drawing himself to a professional type of degree without no lessons. And he wouldn't get it. He still wouldn't get it, man. Yeah, I'm just being real. Shaded in, everything, immaculate, just like I do. Because it ain't no half-ass work. We talking about this work. Because work is work, okay? I don't do nothing halfway. That's why everything taking as long as it's taking, because I'm putting my heart into it. I'm not going to work on it unless I got a certain type of feel, you know, and that's about the energy going into this. That's why, you know, so much is syncing up as well, because I know what energy I'm putting into this. Everything that I'm saying, you know, as far as geometry, us as human beings, our movements, geometry, that's what this all is. When we movement, it's all. I ain't gonna get into that again because it's so long of an explanation. But I was just basically explaining, if I could summarize it, just how different. If you angles and everything matters, drawing anything to reality, symbols. That's why I say without I tell Freemasons all the time, and they never argue with what I say. They will not exist without artists. Freemasons would not exist without artists. Matter of fact, I'll extend it to even humanity would not exist without artists. That's why I don't have respect even for music artists who don't really respect artists who draw their artwork, you know, for their stuff like that. It's a lot of music artists in this music industry that get paid millions of dollars and stuff, but they look over the people who do their album cover artwork and stuff like that, which is so powerful and impactful. Because you know, it's so important as far as the visualization. You know, without the visualization, man, a lot of people ain't gonna even come your way regarding certain stuff. So the fact is, I I take it serious regarding visualization and how I depict what I'm depicting. And when certain, seeing artists in music industries just get they just don't see the value within art, hand created art itself. It's just not seen within this world at all, the value taken from it. But anyway, at the end of the day, everything is brought from thought. And the word thought and taught is very synonymous to each other. So thought and etymology wise and taught, they're very similar. Even and H is often used as a silent letter. So like rough and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to explain is that you, with power and everything, which is, you can alter somebody's consciousness by a symbol. How you think I'm lying? You can alter somebody's consciousness by us, and drawing is a symbol. You're drawing something from your mind. We're withdrawing something from one place and bringing it to another. At the end of the day, how can you alter somebody's consciousness with a symbol? That's what I was showing y'all. This is how you alter somebody's consciousness with a symbol. What is this right here? Now that's just real quick, drawing something real quick. Anybody with a mind knows exactly what that is at this point. And 9 times out of 10, whether based on you a male or female, you ain't even have to think sexually. You ain't have to think out of line. But you 9 times out of 10 was, whoa, something like, well, or oh no, he not what I think, something on that line, something along that line 9 times out of 10 probably came, across your mind upon seeing that right there. And it altered your thoughts. It altered your state of consciousness. Whether you realize it just that quick or not, just by looking at something like that. And therefore, when you have something like this that alters your state of consciousness, like, see, if I change what is the angle slash this is where drawing and everything, changing one little line. That's why I'm so studious on every single detail with my art, because I realize as an artist, it's just like pixels. Literally, if you're an artist enough, you realize every single dot that you put on this paper matters. Every single dot. I mean, it could be one. I mean, I could see something over here right now and feel like I need to fix it just like that. And it make it look that much better. But only the artist's mind could realize that. And it's best because everything coming together as a picture. And if you zoomed in, that frequency would be completely off. So once you zoom out, you witness the after effects of that. What I'm getting at basically is if I altered the angle of this curve, which is under this nipple right here, or what we perceive it as a nipple, if I altered the angle and brought the curve in like that, instead of how you just saw it, and I could erase that, but I ain't gonna do it, but I'm just gonna do this like this. It no longer looks like a set of boobs too much. But it no longer looks like it. It changes everything, the angle of stuff. If, for instance, if I change this to just a right angle to a straight line, the way that you looked at it ain't gonna be the same no more. It's altering your state of consciousness. You're gonna make up one of now. You might see a snail on something. You might. I mean, your mind just is gonna change based off of these lines and what movement and everything, which is what animation. Reality is all animated movement, and all of this stuff is, it all come into play. So upon having that like that and realizing that, that's the reason why you have stuff like McDonald's arches, which have arches like that, which the subconscious is just, in all different type of other places, have arches and certain subliminal type of stuff to intrigue the human mind and bring it into doing or doing what, altering the state of consciousness, leading it into whatever magnetism tricks through symbols, because everything is a symbol. You just perceiving it. Your mind is a receiver. Of perceive and receive are spelled with the same words, except perceive got a PE, and R is switched RE. So perceive and receive pretty much got the same letters, except the P is added on. So when you look at something, you're receiving something in. You're looking at a symbol and receiving in a certain thought. You're perceiving it. You're receiving it. So how you receive it, that's the thing. It's all about intent behind, because I could have been drawing this, and if I drew this right here, if I just, matter of fact, just down here to be clean, if I just drew a letter U like this right here and put a dot right there, one of y'all might look at that and think that that's a cartoon titty. But really, my intent could be that it could be just like I'm writing out my language, like right there, and just writing out something like, and put that right there, and it's really just that. It's how you perceive something. You can look at something one way, and it really not. So our mind, the human mind and perception, when it comes to this inner line in between energy, receiver, and the emitter, which emits energy, the symbol and everything is very much like the energy. And that's why when you look at a symbol and everything, it's just like energy being placed on you. It has the same effects of energy. It's just like looking at energy being mapped out. And that's the best way, as far as me saying, as far as just a quick talk on geometry, geometrics, which is measuring of the earth, and everything is of the earth. The metrics of something matters. If I move this over, because I ain't measuring this, I'm going based off of what they call the eye. So if I move the measurements over just like this, it ain't gonna look the same no more. I moved it over some units. So it ain't gonna look the same as it did when it was over like this. The measurements have changed. So geometry, geometry. And the other thing, last thing I was saying about this before I proceed to let the video play again, is that 4 and 5, what I realized as far as 1, 3, 7, and 9, the center point, the center and everything, 1, 3, 7, and 9, as I was showing, 4 and 5, everything is made from with the halfway line. So with making that halfway line, excuse me, it cuts this in half, cuts that in half, and you end up with a pyramid right there. So 0.5 and 0.5 equals out to be 1. Pretty much, everything comes out to be exactly 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, because you got 2 squares right here, halfway cut through equals 1. 2 plus 1 equals 3. So 6 minus 3 equals 3. Which is, so the same numbers 1, 3, 7, and 9 all come up to be based on the counter space, which is the square. So the whole square is, everything just come out to be perfect on that end. But anyway, proceeding with the video, I got my little, and I've already said that about image and action in the past. Imagination, image, and action. Imagination is image in action. If you realize, imagination and the phrase image in action are spelled with the same exact letters. The only difference is the letter C. The letter C is within there. If you take out when you imagine something, the only way that you can imagine something clearly is if you close your eyes and you no longer see. So you take the C out and it becomes imagination. The image in action is the imagination. That's what the imagination is. Everything is based off of thought and memory.
12th night, a spirit I am indeed, but am in that dimension grossly clad, which from the womb I did participate. Exactly the same thought. Shakespeare, very, very close to the Hermetic philosophers and to Hermes Trismegistus. At the center, I believe, of the English Hermetic movement was this man, John Dee. We've talked about him on previous presentations. He was the Queen's conjurer, astrologer, astronomer, mathematician, a man of great interest and great mystery, and the more one looks into him, the more one realizes that. I have on previous presentations shown you this, the title page of his all-important book, the Monas Hieroglyphica. It is a book not, as it appears to be, about a symbol, but in his mind, at least, it is a book about the literal signature of the beginning and root of all things, of the universal force of creation from whence all knowledge derives. And being a Hermetic book, it is, of course, about man's relationship to God and man's divinity. He calls this image the Hermetic Seal of London. You're looking now at a slightly later 16th century edition. You can see it has the 4 elements in the corners: fire, air, earth, and water, with the sun and moon encased into a square, which is the measurable symbol of the material world. Inside there also we see the egg, the cosmic egg, from whence God created everything, and inside that the monas itself, the monad, which on the face of it just appears to be the symbol of Mercury, Hermes. There we go again, this idea of Hermes.
So I'm just letting it, like I showed y'all in the previous video, I started off already. I ain't got to, but it had that Mercury was in the center of the skull, and then you had Jupiter and Saturn on each side on the cheekbones. So that's what you see right there again is the, symbol of Mercury. So It's crazy, but anyway, as this proceeds, you'll see even more. They're gonna show the ratio of the sun and the moon. I mean, the moon and the earth, and this is what I'm gonna show you about that, because you probably already noticed too. But the earth and moon ratio is 1/4, as you can see right there. Right, well, right there, 1/4. So the Earth to Moon ratio 1/4. What does that mean? 1 to 4. Well, that's it says right here. The Moon is a bit, and I'm not saying that this is conclusive. I'm just saying and using this and showing that, like I say, just like they say that this Earth is what 4.5 billion years old. These are the same people who come up with the the age of the Earth and everything. So I'm realizing and looking at these numbers, and I'm just coming back and showing my work, showing and proving, everything as I'm saying, that they are, that I get the sense that they are, if this is not the true geography of the earth, they have to be talking in some form of code as far as the knowledge that they do have of the earth. So 1 + 4 = 5. So 4 and 5, 4 minus 5, 4 + 1 = 5, 5 minus 1 = 4, which is at the top. And you can see it at the top up here. I got 4 and 5. 4 and 5 is up here at the top. 33, synonymous with 33 degrees, Freemasonry and everything. And the crown chakra, that's up there, at the 33 point. So it says a moon is a bit more than 1/4, 27%. And the 27% is right here, 27. So the moon is a bit more than 1/4. 1 + 4 = 5. So I just said that, and I just pointed that out for a reason. I specifically pointed that out for a reason, because all of this stuff is, like I'm saying, once you really listen to everything I'm saying in this video, then you really gonna see is, okay, they're saying exactly what with the 4 and the 5. They realized something about that. So it gotta mean something. At this 1 + 4, like I say, 5, 4, 1. You know what's in between there. You see that that's right there. So the moon would be right there in that case, just like they moon, earth, comprehensible. 33 / crown, or the death, that corona, however you want to look at that, sun, Jesus, 33, right there, sun. This is the square. The square starts at the 72, 7 and 2. Okay. Y'all been seeing me build this for the longest, so I can't make any of this up, any of it at all. But this is what ends up coming up next.
And his teaching of divine man. There's a little bit more to it than just the symbol of Mercury, because you can see it has a dot, and also at the bottom what appears to be a sort of sign of Aries. John Dee calls it Mercury fortified by a sharp point.
You hear that word? He said that the creator, John Dee, calls it Mercury fortified. You still don't think that they're talking in code, people? Come on now. I'm not just saying that. I know that probably just sounded like it was over the head, but that's why I say I can't prove that necessarily. I'm saying that that's something I speculate on, because I'm proving facts. I'm using facts and showing the footprints of what I'm seeing, the essence of what I'm seeing that supports what I'm saying. I'm showing why I would come to those conclusions, which I have not arrived to yet. Because I can't test the earth to see if it's 4.5 billion years old. But what I can tell you is that I know that the time that we are living in, based off of what they saying right there, how I look at that, is that 4.5. That means that if each of us lived at least a million, even a million years, if we could die right now and come back a million years, if we got frozen in some ice, let's say, and came back alive, thawed out a million years later, and the earth was a million years older, that means we would still be, if you looked at the point of time that we in on a timeline, we would still be the earth would be 4.5 billion years old. That million years wouldn't alter anything. You get what I'm saying with that? So that's what I'm saying, that's significant, because they are saying something with that. it in that essence of time, with time like that, that means if you even came back and died, because a billion to 1 billion, 1 million to a billion itself ain't nothing. 4.5 billion years and then 1 million years, dude, that's one square on this sheet of paper here. And the 4.5 billion is the whole thing. You get, so that means if you can't, that wouldn't change nothing. You would still be here and the earth would still be 4.5 billion years old, even a million years from now, is what they say. So that's why I say, just even on that, elaborating on that, the code that I get from that, you know, with the whole essence of life. And they know more about the time frame than we do, you know. So that's crazy.
John Dee calls it Mercury fortified by a sharp point.
Fortified.
It is by virtue of this point, he says, and the monad itself.
That's all I'm gonna say is they ain't use that word for no reason. I've been saying that word, fortified. Fortified, 4 to 5, Saturn and Jupiter, Mercury, 4 to 5. I've also said that the number 1 could be the number 2. So 4 to 5. 425 or 425 if you give, it would be 4 that's crazy, bro. That's just a synchronicity within itself with just the etymology. But you'll see even more that the numbers actually themselves, they come to the conclusion that these numbers of 5 and 4 got some serious significance at the end of the video.
Things begin to emerge in principle. The monas itself is deceptively simple. It consists of 1 dot and 6 lines, 7 things in all. 7 is the number that connects man to God, as we shall see a little bit later on. Dee says in his dedication to the Emperor Maximilian, here is secretly whispered and intimated that by the square mystery of this hieroglyphic monad, something circular and wholly equal is being conveyed. Notice how coy he's being, talking about something that is secretly whispered and conveyed. Well, it's pretty obvious what he's talking about, because he's talking about something that is at once square and circular. He's talking about the squaring of the circle. If you were to take a compass and stick the metal point into the central point that he's talking about at the bottom there, and connect the pencil to either of the 2 top bits of those horns, you could then draw a circle that represents divinity, God. A circle, of course, has no beginning and no end. If you were to make the compass a little bit smaller and put the point again in that center point, but this time put the pencil at the midway point in that semicircle that I bring there, you could draw another circle.
Now I want you to seriously pay attention, because it's so powerful. They talk about the numbers 5 and 4 at the end of the freaking video, all of that. And it's crazy how they just talked about the sun and the moon. Or they're going to, and I just talked about like how the way that they set it up is just too, I'm like, dude, because I've been saying to myself, I don't say it to other people because it's a stretch to them, I would feel like, on the outside, but every single religious symbol that you can think of nearly can be found within my work. That goes for the Christian cross, the Teutonic cross, all type of crosses can be found, and significance within them, like the box and stuff. Opening the box, that's what this right here, this is the the cube of Allah, the tree of life. This right here, this is a tree, and I can sit this right in the center, right? Like the way that I did this is so that I can sit the tree right in the center, just like it's grown. Somebody be thinking I'm gonna accidentally pull something. I be seeing people every time I like move some paper and bring something on camera, they want to pop their ass in. They be looking on the outside, thinking they gonna catch me slip up on some weird shit. Y'all crazy, bro. Y'all weird. Anyway, man, it's funny. But this right here, as you can see, is the tree, and this is the yellow area. As far as the chakra area, this would be the yellow. This solar plexus down here, where the roots is at, air. Okay, roots need air to survive, which is the yellow. That's what I'm with the numbers and everything. I got them all coded according to elementary behavior, And I was showing that because at the end of the day, that's why I say with every religious aspect, you can see that within my work, like the cross, is I'm about to show y'all right now as far as the Christian cross, because they about this with the Vitruvian man, you can see a lot of some similarity with the Christian cross as far as Jesus Christ. And that's what they about to talk about is the Vitruvian man. And I don't see a lot of guys talk about that, especially brothers, black people, for whatever reason. Um, and it's not just the Vitruvian, it's crazy, how this lines up though, just it's something else how it lines up once you see this. It's but yeah, the cube of Allah, think about it, man. What people have said in the past, Allah, arm, leg, arm, head, I don't get how people wouldn't see or think that I'm, wouldn't see what I'm saying or think that I'm stretching at all based on just that alone. Arm, leg, arm, head. But I took it farther and showed people, okay, what's on those arm, legs, arms, and head? The head is the fifth point. The arms and legs are mirrors of each other, so they go together at the end of the day. And they all got 5 points on them. You got 4 limbs, arms, arm, leg, arm. And you got 1 point. 4 plus 1 equals 5. I showed y'all as well. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 phalanges. 1 plus 4 equals 5. And they talk about all of this key to the universe, us as human beings and stuff like that. Our body, just like Vitruvian man pointed out, the 1.618. What I wanted to let y'all know is that what I learned from this video is that even though these guys had their views about women that they did, however that may be, which I don't subscribe with, but for whatever reason, likewise, but they could not put out certain type of information. And I'm just being real. It was certain stuff. This man was an artist, and in that time, they would, really chastise witches and things like that. I'm not saying that he's a witch, but I'm saying it's certain knowledge even that you could not put out. You just literally couldn't. And if it got found, like certain books, even at certain times, if you got found with certain books, you could get in trouble for certain stuff. Just knowing certain stuff, literally, it was a time. And I don't be thinking like that in my time. That's how it was, literally. And so here I am. It's almost like a rerun because I done figured out something, and I almost feel like, maybe, I get the questioning, is everybody around me Freemasons and stuff? People talking about, am I a Freemason? Like, is there more of them around me than I'm realizing or something? Because the thing is, golly, damn, I mean, have I figured out something that ain't supposed to be put out? Because I just don't see how anything like this could be so, on point and ahead of time, and so on point to where people wouldn't rock with it. That's what I feel like. I figured out something they ain't supposed to know, like like being for real, because it's upon when you look at this, they're gonna let you know that Vitruvian man, Leonardo da Vinci. I say that because they let me know within this video and others know that he chose to alter something within his own art because he had to, because he felt he had to, at least because he could not put out certain information. Not saying that he's a Freemason, but he was afraid of himself getting in trouble, So that's why I say maybe it's just a rewind. And hey, maybe I done figured out some shit that I ain't supposed to know. And yeah. And can't win for losing, but look at how this lines up. Like I said, just to run it back real quick refresher. 1/4, quarter in the moon, Earth and moon. This is the rest real quick. Corona 3, 6 minus 3, 33 degrees. Freemason, crown 33. Death, sun. 4 plus 1 equals 5. 1 plus 4 equals 5. 1/4, like I've been saying, 1/4. And 25%, 1/4, 2 plus 5 equals 7. So 2 and 5, All of that stuff really comes together, the quarter and 27, hold on, 27, 27, 27 times 4 is 108. Wow. And that's that number that guy was talking about, Jane Academy. Okay. I'm going to have to look back on that.
Smaller and put the point again in that center point, but this time put the pencil at the midway point in that semicircle that I've ringed there. You could draw another circle, which D coyly intimates in his third theorem.
Watch this, man. This is crazy.
The Earth. Now, we can put a square around that Earth, whose four sides, each of its four sides are equal to the diameter. And already something extremely interesting has happened, for not only is that purple square sharing its center with that green circle, but it also has a perimeter that is exactly equal to the circumference
right
of
on top
the green
of it.
circle. So this squaring of the circle, something that's been mathematicians have been doing endlessly since Archimedes, has a great symbolic value because it indicates that the material world, God's creation, is unified with God. If you were to take the most famous image of all time regarding the square of the circle, Leonardo da Vinci's Thessalian Man, notice how his fingertips, whether they're on his straight arms or his upraised arms, and ditto his feet, are either touching the divine green circle or the square of the material world. What Leonardo da Vinci is telling us here is that man is divine. He is, of course, fully in with the Hermetic philosophy, but he's a little bit nervous of it. He knows that if he's caught, he'll be done in by the Inquisition, which is why he doesn't place his square, notice, right in the center of the circle. His square does not.
You see what I'm saying? You hear what he said? And clarity, so that's what I'm saying. That's just the movement of a square, even a few inches, and not even a few inches, but just the movement or placement of a square could have got this man in some trouble. Are you serious? So that lets you know how serious even some knowledge could be on that area. That's why I say with 45, how the hell am I the only person? The only person. I can't find nothing on it. I can't wait till my month is up. When it's on the 7th and everything, I'm really going to do some streams where I get on here and full-fledged research 45 degrees on the internet with everybody and let people see, just that I'm taking out the time that, just like I've already done, but retracing the footsteps again. To see at 45 degrees what is out there, secrets of it, anything that I can type up, 0 through 9 pyramid, everything that I can think of, 45-degree pyramid, nothing is out there. And I just don't give 45-degree magic square. Can't find it. So that's how I know, not just based off of that, but like I say, with who I've talked to. A lot of people don't know who I know, but that's why I say I know that what I've done is it ain't out there. That's all I can say. And it ain't been done yet. But this right here, when they talk about this sun and moon, like I said, that's why I say, y'all think of the Jesus and the cross. This right here, if you think of Jesus and the cross and the Vitruvian man, this is Jesus on the cross. And that's why I said with the third, I'm not reaching by saying, I just haven't said anything like that. Because I don't like people to think that I'm reaching or nothing like that. But this is just like Jesus on the cross with the 33 degrees, like I was saying. When you think of the human body, Leonardo da Vinci was very studious on anatomy and things like that. Phi, which is one of the main things he was emphasizing. That's why I say P.R. Corey just went his own route. I thought for myself and based everything off of my own creation. Now, this is crazy how I'm taking something that's the Nazca lines, which is the center right here. So what I'm saying as well and thinking about as well is when we think about the human body and magnetism and stuff, when you hear people talk about the human body, it's important to talk about, the crown and everything, because that's the central control and center. But what I'm realizing as well is this point down here, our navel, is something about the navel. And I still got an Audi. Luckily, And I told my mom I'm proud and happy I still got an Audi, because it's really kind of like me still having a piece of her I'm connected to, just for the rest of my life. Just a piece of my mama right there. Even if my mama was gone, I got something, from where she, where she ain't here no more. I got something that's her, that's on me forever, till I go. So I still got an Audi myself, and our ancient ancestors, I know that they possibly didn't cut their belly buttons down to where they wasn't even visible. I doubt that was the case, but they probably did. I ain't saying I'm conclusive on it, but when you look at this, and I'm just really looking more into the navel area of the body, and just human, as far as energy, the navel area of the body is something, that is when we talk about direct center of the body, magnetism and all of that. We've studied the human, we talk about the head, the heart, and all of that stuff, but the center, the navel point, which is very close to the generating point, the generative point, which is, down here, the penile area and stuff like that. It's something that really needs to be looked into. I mean, the navel is even shaped like a magnetism spiral. That's how a lot of people draw it for cartoons. They'll draw a little navel with a, little spiral like that. So it even got the little spiral thing going on. This is just, it, these, it's crazy. The horns of the, certain stuff will just throw people off and they'll be scared of it. That's why I say, not everything that these guys were saying was off or false. That's why I say in that time, depending on stuff that was going on, when I put myself in their shoes, a lot of stuff probably had to been hidden because of certain people, So we sit up and think that, it was, they got false agendas or bad, but I ain't cutting them no slack. But I'm just saying, a lot of stuff, like I just proved and like he just said, had to be hidden because they will have repercussions come onto them if they put certain, for instance, a square, moved it a little bit. But watch what they say and where they put the sun and the moon in reference to, like I said, 33 crown. This is Jesus, like on the cross. The head right there is exactly where 3 and 3 would be at for 33 degrees, just like the circle or the halo, which is 360 degrees. 360, 36 halo, and the shine. And then when you look at Jesus, there's something called the Zodiac Cross as well. The Zodiac Cross, a lot of times it's separated up into 4 different sections, just like the Knights Templar Cross. And that right there is 4 + 1 = 5 with that cross, the 4 sections, and then one cross center point, which is just like this up here. So Jesus is very synonymous to even the compass. Just something as simple as the compasses. So, hey, what do you see on Freemason stuff? Compasses, and the square, so measuring and, just, millions of dollars can be in knowledge, man. That's why I say this is all just based off of my stuff alone, just me syncing this together. I didn't search for this video. Luckily, it got, recommended to me, and this was 3 weeks ago that this video was made. So, that's why I say, and they ain't even got to the 4 and 5 part yet. But man, wow, this is crazy.
Share the same center as the green circle very deliberately to get himself, I think, out of trouble. But the point is very clearly made. Going back to Dee's monads, Dee says that the semicircle represents the moon. And he says that the full circle beneath that, with a dot in it, represents the sun. Why are they, you might ask, of the same size? Well, Dee says that the ordinary man.
You see that? How they got the sun right there, and the moon is right there on top. Just like I got like I said, with the 33 would be the sun, or the sun, which is the sun, which is Christ, the sun, which is Jesus Christ, and 360 degrees, the rays of the sun, 360, and then the moon up there, like I said, which is a quarter of what would be the earth, which is the full body. I'm not saying that the earth is a globe or Nothing like, I'm just showing the on point 100% synchronicities based off of my own work that can't be I mean, it just, the numbers add up themselves. It can't be denoted or looked around. Like I said, the Mercury thing I showed y'all in the center, it started off the video with that. And Jupiter and Saturn, like I said, with the conjunction, showing that 4 and 5 is that. That's one thing. But this right here is just going to a whole nother level. It's getting to it's compulsive. Like it's getting compulsive at this time. Like, goodness.
As from Earth would see, and he's quite right about this, the full moon at night as being exactly the same size as the sun. So very much taken from the perspective of the Earth. Another very extraordinary aspect of this.
Y'all watching me learn right now on from my own. This is something. See, what is so amazing about this is something that ain't ever been created before, bro. That's why I emphasize that, because as I'm creating this, and y'all, this might be something so impactful for the world, bro. And then next thing you know, I done blew up. That's why I say and act like I do, because I'm learning from my own stuff as I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm literally learning as I go from my own stuff. The sun is right here, and then the moon is communicating something. I'm not saying that the globe is what it is, but the circumference of the earth, the circle of the earth, man, it's certain stuff that I'm not conclusive on. All I know is, like I said, with the geometry, geometrics, and like I said, with this being the North Pole and everything, if they turned this earth and everything and put it in a certain type of way, it would put the North Pole right here on top. And that's just a fact. And place it right in the center, for instance, like I just did with the other video, come to think, of the Mercator map. If I took the Mercator map, put it right in, and turned it, put it right in the center, that'll be like squaring the circle of the earth, or circling the square of the earth. So yeah, that's
is that the moon and the earth in this diagram set up by D's Monas Hieroglyphica are in precisely the correct proportion one to the other. And this is something I am going to come back to, and I'm going to link it to the number 1740 and to William Shakespeare. I have, I believe, some very interesting material to share with you about this, so please bear with me, particularly since I'm going to have to go over some, I think, very critical, very important material that I've shown before on previous presentations. It will be worth it, I believe, if you stick with me, even if some of these things you think you have seen before. So we're going back, first of all, to John Dee, his belief that man is part of God, that man is divine. Therefore, his belief that the Trinity is not just the Godhead as is seen in the Christian church, but is a 3+1, a fourth part. The quaternary, as he writes, is concealed within the ternary. O God, forgive me if I have sinned against thee by revealing such a great mystery in my writings, which all may read. He goes on to say, but only, of course, the worthy will understand. I've shown, I think, several times how
that's very questionable, man. Stuff like that makes me question, like, that's what I ain't trying to be seen like I'm fear mongered or nothing like that. It's just like certain stuff like that really make me quit, because this is all I know. This is like God given, good stuff, bro. Already, bro. I hadn't looked at the chat, but shout out to y'all, man. Everybody who had come through, because I did say that in the previous video I wasn't gonna look at the chat and stuff like that and nothing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to everybody who came through. And yeah, like yeah, just hearing stuff like that about you're writing a letter to God, is it that serious? It's like, I ain't saying that your God ain't real or nothing like that. I'm just saying if somebody believing a certain God, and it's that serious to where they gotta write something to God. Like, is it that serious? So I that made me question with my stuff, man. Cause I'm not lying to y'all, bro. It's been a long time since I had some spiritual stuff happen in my life, but it have amped up since I've been working on this. Like when I mean spiritual stuff, like I'm talking about real evidence of, and I'm talking about doors closing, stuff that I just don't want to say because it'll make people think you crazy or something, but just stuff I won't voice on, that I have literally, and I ain't the only one who's seen it. That's the thing. I'm not the only. So it's like, bro, what you do, your intent, because see, before this get drawn out, the symbol is within my mind. That's the thing. Ain't nobody else out here thinking about this or got the mind probably even seeing the significance on this with this in earth like I do. And so I'm birthing it to the earth. This is a big old birth being happening right now. And it's crazy to use that word because the number 9 is significant with the birth. And that's what this ends at. It's a number 9. So so this is, it made me want, like, God. I don't know what God would look, because I do quit. Look, man, woman, I say it, a lot of the time. I just said today to myself, I said, man, I don't know what's going on with this stuff and what I'm creating, but I said, bro, God gonna want to. All I know is what I'm taking it as is God, male, woman, whatever it is telling me I need to have a strong talk with you. We need to have a talk. When you check out, it's time for us to have a talk. That's how this shit been having me feeling. That's just being straight up and 100% real. I said that to myself today. That's what this shit tell me is we need to have a talk.
Symbol of the Tao, the sacred symbol of the Tao, can be convened into what is known as the Triple Tao, very sacred to royal arts.
Ain't no way in the world.
Trace
all of this stuff should be. I should be able to show these people that's lining up with this stuff. It don't matter. I'm faithful and confident enough to bring it to whoever. I mean, the highest, well-respected people out here, bro, as far as in YouTube stuff or anything. People who this wouldn't even have to deal with. They might not be studious on astronomy or numerology or nothing, but I know they could look at these symbols and see that they look exactly the same. I know that they could look at 45 degrees and see everything that I'm saying, like, because this shit really is mind-boggling because it ain't no way it should be this much stuff coming back around, and I ain't searching for it.
Large symbolism straight back to D, and that this has within it this triple Tao, the quaternary that is concealed within it, that fourth T there, upside down. Now, John D believes that all number, all letter is God, that God is the Alpha and the Omega, and is all letters in between. And Hermes Trismegistus writes that God is all number. And one of the intellectual
you hear what he's saying, though?
is triple Tao.
I'm sitting up here tripping, man. It's certain doggone stuff. I mean, the stuff just lining up even with what they saying, man. It just, these are smart people. I'm gonna give them their credit. I don't care what skin color they had. I just give people the benefit of the doubt. So everything wasn't all bad, and everything ain't all lies. That's why you spit out the seeds and eat the fruit. And that's just all that I do, and create anew and use my mind. I'm not saying that this is it, because after I get done with this, who knows? God may bless me with a brand new. All my mind just been focused on this though. This taking a lot of storage up.
Quaternary that is concealed within it, that fourth T there, upside down. Now, John D believes that all number, all letter is God, that God is the Alpha and the Omega, and he's all letters between. And Hermes Trismegistus writes that God is all number. And one of the intellectual exercises that D sets up to get...
See, the reason why it's important, see, look at this. what is the God? See, this is the question that even we would ask as kids. Who is God's God? Think about it. Think about it. That's a deep question. We used to ask that. Who is God's God? What is God? What is it? See, God is synonymous to the word guide. That's what God does. As far as how we view it, we go to God when we need somebody to guide us, literally. So what I'm saying is, what would be the guide of God? God would have to move as far as what events or whatever it is that they're supposed to do, would still have to have a perception of time. I know that we say that time is an illusion, but what I'm saying is that's why we witness certain, like the stars and stuff that us as human beings cannot control. All of that stuff happens in a synchronous, like at a time. It happens in order, and that's proven intelligence as well. But it's proven as well the higher intelligence above the higher intelligence, because that's what God's guide. The synchronicity of when to play out things is what guides the God, literally. That's what keeps it on track, literally. And that's what a guide is. A guide keeps you on track with your destination and where you're going. So that's why I say that numbers play a huge role, because God even will have to look to numbers, some form of number in that instance. That's why number, I say, is so important.
Is that he should be led upward, conceiving numbers absolutely, that at length he may be able to find the number of his own name gloriously exemplified and registered in the book of Trinity, most blessed and eternal. It is a curious exercise to ask others to do, that he sets an example by doing the same himself. How does he do it? How do you conceive of numbers absolutely so that you can get your own name linked within the Trinity? Well, one little trick, he gives us a clue about how to do it. He says there are specific reasons for the shapes of letters, their positions or places within the order of the alphabet, their numerical value, and many other things that must be considered with regards to the primary alphabets of the three languages. By the three languages, he means Latin, Ancient Greek, and Hebrew. He's not at all interested in finding out the number of a letter in the English alphabet, where, for instance, you have W and J, which were sort of modern additions. He will stick to Latin, Greek, or Hebrew alphabet. So he's going to use those to try and get the number of his own name and align it to the Trinity. He does that with this symbol, quite simply. It's a triangle. Well, yes, that represents the Trinity, followed by a dot, which in Hebrew is known as the Hirik. He calls it Shirik, and it tells you to pronounce E after the consonant before it. That consonant is the delta of Greek, pronounced D. So that gives his name D, and you notice that the delta is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet. So he has the quaternary concealed within the ternary, and he's found his own name, D. Thus he signs off the monas letter is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet. So he has the quaternary concealed within the ternary, and he's found his own name, D. Thus he signs off the monas hieroglyphica, dicit litera quata, seth, the fourth letter. Now let us turn to our great friend Edward de Vere, 17th Earl of Oxford, intellectual poet, steeped in the Hermetic traditions and believed in the Trinity as something other than the Church. He said of it, he affirmed that the wise philosophers deride our ignorance in that great mystery. According to one of his contemporaries, he realizes that there is the quaternity concealed within the ternary. If you read his early poem, My Mind to Me a Kingdom Is, and you read the first chapter of the Hermetic Corpus by Hermes Trismegistus, you'll realize they are talking of the same thing, which is the theory of the sovereignty of mind. One of Edward de Vere's favorite poems, according to Thomas Nash, was Nosce te ipsum, Know Thyself, by John Davis. This is an outright declaration of Hermetic thought, saying that the human soul and the human mind are God, is actually dedicated to Queen Elizabeth, rather implied.
Yeah, I know somebody out there who says that phrase a lot. So shout out to him. I mean, That's why I'm saying that, like they said, Hermetic philosophy is a very Masonic dominated thing, you know. So even though I know that y'all have y'all views on Freemasonry and stuff, and this just proves as well, you know, that a lot of stuff as far as their ideology even is the truth, and we even say things that you know that we don't know that or might not catch on to that even they probably say or you know have said.
That Elizabeth was in on all this great secret. So Oxford, what did he do in order to find the number of his own name gloriously exemplified and registered in the Trinity? Well, he declared himself 1740. We've seen how T is 19 and how the triple tau is therefore 3 19s, which is 57. 17 plus 40 equals 57. So there he goes, aligning himself to the Trinity. But remember that he thinks there is a quaternary hidden within that. And so he uses a clever Tudor pun, 17 4T, the 4T being the material world that is connected to the Trinity, but also, as my friend, the scholar, John Anthony, has pointed out, 40 is 4.
Oh, shit. See, I got to listen to all of that stuff. When they say John Anthony, like names and stuff, you know, that's my last name. So I got to pay attention and stuff like that, you know, because to figure out stuff like this and then the same thing come back around, you know, all of us is mixed with something, you know, to some degree, you know, down to 9 times out of 10, most of us, I ain't gonna say all, most of us is mixed with some other race of some sort to some degree, where somebody was mixed with somebody and, you know, they got with somebody, you know, and you came on down the line from a mixed person somewhere, which by default puts them genetics in your line. You know, so we probably all us 9 times out of 10 got some form of white ancestry to some degree, you know, as far as blood in there. And when they say Anthony, you know, last name Anthony, I gotta pay attention. That's my last name. People joke me all the time for that. How you got 2 first names, bro? Corey, Anthony. Come on. Nah, bro. Nah, bro. That shit used to be so funny. That shit used to be hilarious. Nah, man. What's that?
19s and 4 19s are 76. And you only have to look at the numerical gematria below to spell OXF.
Hey, I noticed something about my name as well. ANTHONY. If you put a dot into between it, Ant Honey. So it turns into Ant Honey. So that's my little false name. And I tell people, Ant Honey. Man, I'm just fucking being corny as fuck, bro. It's funny being corny sometimes. Oh God, that's just funny.
Look at the numbers of that. You will see that
Ant Honey
is 76, and therefore, by saying 1740, you are alluding to the 17th Earl of Oxford. So he's done exactly what John Dee wanted him to do, which is to find the number of his own name gloriously exemplified and registered in the Trinity, and particularly that rather confusing Trinity with its extra part. No doubt then he sees the importance of putting that into his own signature and having 10 plus 7, which obviously equals 17, and 4 multiplied by 10, which equals 40, very cleverly encrypted in that beautiful signature that also shows that he is an earl with the coronet and the raised pearls above it. Clearly, if this man is going to use a pseudonym, he is not going to let go of his identification with God and of the fact that the works that he writes are written by him and God combined.
That's crazy, man. That is crazy, dude. Just hearing that. How he, you know, that's great, because that's what I say myself. This ain't just me creating it, and I've said that actually all my life. I used to say that when I was younger. That's crazy how I used to say that it is not me who creates just my art. It's me and God. I'm not just saying that just because if I ain't got no reason to lie about shit, man. That's crazy. Just hearing that, you know, because I say the exact same thing. So I don't know, man. I just realized a whole bunch of similarities between me and these very significant ancient artists and stuff like that. Ancient or just, old time artists, because I mean, really hundreds of years, that really ain't really too ancient to me like that. Egypt and stuff, that's where my, as far as when it go to ancient art, man, I love Egyptian art. As far as they advanced art, man, it's no art in history I feel like compares to Egyptian arts. Like the stuff that's carved. It. See, I don't just be worshiping the culture and studying them carvings. And man, when you take some, I wish I could get down like that, bro. I do. I wish I could get down like that. I had the resource. That shit looked fun. When you can take something that's a brick, I mean a mortar brick, and 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 carve something into it to where, and then make it pop out as well of the car, bro. That shit is just that art style is clean, bro. That shit's so damn hard, bro. That shit is clean, and I love it so much. Like, and I admire that. That's something that when I get to building these pyramids on this land in the future, as far as leaving the knowledge behind, because that's why I say if our ancestors did it wrong, then we ought to, we could do it right. That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to copy them or go backwards. If they did it wrong, all I'm saying is how will we really officially leave behind any knowledge for the future? As far as, how would they have it? The best way that you can have it is not orally, because orally, people taint words all the time, man. People mess up words and, falsify stuff. When you put something on paper, somebody can erase it or falsify the paper or burn the paper. So how's the only way that you can put art in an indestructible method? You create it in stone. That's why I say in the future, right now, we just in the information age. We live in America. Really, right now, honestly, it's not. A lot of people think that America is going down. But what you looking at with America, I'm just going to be honest and real, it's really synonymous to almost like, if I could put it in a metaphorical, America is like Christ. So it's kind of in the death stage right now, but it's gonna rise back up, and it's gonna rise back. I'm just being real from the outside. It's gonna rise back up from this death phase that it's in, and what I'm saying is the new America that's created, hence New World Order. It's gonna be a future for it, and that's why I say what I'm doing offers so much value and significance to. If my people don't see any value in it, I can tell people just from what I've talked to, who I've talked to, who's took notice into my work so far. On the other end, as far as spectrum of people, they are going to take value into my work as far as building here. Because this is something that's American. This could have been anybody in America who discovered this, but this knowledge right here is something that's solely American because an American discovered it. So the knowledge being left here on American soil in American stone is going to be very important, highly important. Because it could be anywhere. That's where the stone aspect comes into play. So we are. What I'm saying is when we rebirth, it's going to go into another essence of a stone age, not going back to, living based off of stones, but putting knowledge into stone. Because all of this knowledge and information that we get in right now, it will have to be put into stone if we're trying to leave it behind for the future effectively. That's why we're just talking about it. It ain't going to be around. What happens when you kill all the people and ain't nobody to, talk about where they come from no more? The best, wisest way is to put it in stone. That's just a fact. It's not to copy the ancestors. It's just that if you really talk on the level of really wanting to leave behind the truth in any type of way, you're going to do it in stone. That's why I've already started with just the basic stuff I got as far as stones. I ain't got a lot, but I'm doing, what I can and getting my hands dirty in the small ways that I can as far as knowing how to chip away and, inscribe something. And that's highly important to me. That's why I feel like this knowledge comes to me, is because I take heed into what the ancestors did and I don't bash it. I just look at it like, okay, I ain't going, because we do stuff in our time that I don't agree with. I feel like honestly we do a lot of stuff I witnessed way worse than what the ancestors did, honestly. And people bash the ancestors, but I just say and look at what they did wrong and say, well, if they did it wrong, shit, and if I got the energy to complain about it, then I ought to be able to do it better. So that's just all that I'm doing, applying it. They say that maybe and speculate what the pyramids was for as far as free energy. And here I am myself. I say myself, I'm not going to speculate on it. I'm learning about it, and I've discovered stuff that has to do with it. Questions that people have never been able to answer. I'm able to answer through my own work, and that's what I'm applying in my life, and the goal that I'm working towards, and the blueprint that I'm laying behind. Because if I died this day, what I've done is going to be here for everybody. For to I mean, and then once it's in stone, it's for eternity. All that I wanted and all that I really cried out for is because I wanted my people to value me so that my name could be left behind. And I feel like people really just want me to die away with you know just die away without it, and that it not be known to me, but it be known to everybody as if they did it, instead of the creator who created. And I just feel like, though people might feel like just because I want my name associated with my work and who discovered it, and they probably view me as selfish because of that. Well, I look at the group as selfish on their end because, the outsider group, because I mean, that's just a selfish aspect to not understand or comprehend why somebody would want credit for what they took out time to create and find out. Because like I say, I can't stop this project with this Nazca line thing. I can only find out the truth if I continue to work it out. Like once I found out the Nazca lines line up exactly like that right there, and it's on point as much as they is, I can't really stop it, because the only way I'm going to find out what this map is, it could be laying onto anywhere on this earth. And that's why I showed the Mercator map video. This could be signifying anywhere, any point or region, to look into. And it could be astrological too, an astrological type of event, or, anomaly within the sky or something. Because I'm thinking as well, because it's called an Estrella. It's outlaid on the earth, but I got to be wise and not just think of, okay, this is flat earth on, and just thinking earth only. I got to think, ground level, and I got to think up there in the sky, because that could also be something that is pointed out in the sky up there, so I always take that into account as well. And so I can't stop working on it. If I stopped working on it, I wouldn't find out the truth that underlays. As I keep on creating, I keep on finding out more. So it wouldn't make sense for me to stop. So I'm locked in. And yeah, like shit, that's just crazy. But this right here,
double V, V being 20 in the Latin alphabet, 2 20s therefore are 40, and he follows it by 17 letters, which very cleverly allude to the will that shook the spear at Ilium. That's the will of Pallas, who became the Roman goddess of playwrights. So therefore you get your 1740 mirrored as 4017 in the pseudonym. There were others, not just Edward de Vere, who seemed to be aware of this identification and what he was up to. There's a wonderful work called Polymantia by William Covell, published in 1595. And on this page, you see the 17th full word from the end of the page is Oxford. That gives you 17, followed by a T, which in fact the 40, because it's directly underneath the word fortunately, which is the 17th word of that sentence. It is also, by the way, that T, the fourth T on that line. So it's 1740. And if you count the words backwards from the end of the page, including the words that are in the margin notes, not just the main text, then the 17th word is Shakespeare. That is followed by 4x. X is 10 in Latin, so 4x is therefore 40. And once again, he is aligned to the fourth T, counting backwards in that line. In case anyone didn't understand how brilliant that was and how he's shown you that both Oxford and Shakespeare are 1740 and therefore they're one and the same, you only have to look at the line which is annotated by the margin note Sweet Shakespeare to see it says court dear verse, all hyphenated up with a little jiggle. That becomes our de Vere a secret. A bit of a slam dunk, that one, for those who are interested in the authorship question of William Shakespeare. Now, if I skip you forward to the year in which this magnificent monument was erected to William Shakespeare in Westminster Abbey, then obviously I'm taking you to 1740. And you can see by the scroll he is pointing at the line at the cloud-cut towers, where they've removed the E from towers to make it 17 letters in that line, crossed with the 40 acrostic going down. If we go back to what the monument looked like when it was first erected, it had 17 iron spears in front of it, and, well, still does have him standing in such a way as to indicate 4x, which is 4T. And if I were to turn the monument round, or better still, if I could see it from behind, which I can't, but if I were to turn it round, it has the same effect, then we can reinterpret the shape of his stance as the Christogram Chi Rho, the Rho being the 17th letter of the Greek alphabet, and the Chi being 40 in biblical gematria. That's the gematria that John Dee would have understood more than the more common isopsophy. So beautifully done that. You see the 3 plus 1, the 3 1740s in the number, and the 1 1740 as a pun. The first edition of Shakespeare's sonnet, 1609, also conceal the Chi Rho, concealing it, of course, because it indicates the Hermetic idea of divine man. It was the Oxfordian Alan Green who first showed that these line ends and dots could be joined up to reveal 4 right-angled triangles and a perfect circle hidden there. What he didn't know when he found that is by coming down through the stem of that P, you can in fact create the Chi Rho symbol and therefore the 1740. Nor did he realize that that amazing Chi is pointing to the author of the sonnets, being by God and de Vere, God represented by the capital G, the 7th letter of the alphabet. And then, of course, that line down at the bottom, which is 17 letters with 4T right in the middle of it, pointing to where Edward de Vere is actually buried, which is underneath the monument we've just been looking at in Westminster Abbey, but that's another story for another time. So we've seen how Edward de Vere aligns his 1740 with the Christogram, the Chi Rho symbol, and here he does a very similar thing, aligning 1740 with God as the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. This is the dedication to Venus and Adonis, the first time the name William Shakespeare ever occurs in connection with literature. And this is the dedication to Henry Roseley, Earl of Southampton, all written in italics, except for right at the beginning, the R, which is the 17th letter of the Roman alphabet, and at the end, your honours in all duty, comma, William Shakespeare, dot, which is 40 characters. So 1740 at the beginning and end. Very similar thing seems to happen here. These are the last 2 sonnets of 1609 edition, and you'll notice that they're more or less the same. I won't read them all to you, but number 153 begins, Cupid laid his brand and fell asleep. 154 begins, the little love god lying once asleep, laid by his side his heart inflaming brand. It goes on like that all the way through. They've basically got the same contents. Now, I had some correspondence with a very clever Oxfordian who said to me, did I realise that there was something in this 153, 154, that these 2 numbers in modern mathematics are what's called a Routh-Arron pair, because they have the sum of their distinct primes are the same. 153, the distinct primes are 17 and 3, which add up to 20, and 154, the distinct primes of that number are 2, 7, and 11, which equally add up to 20. I thought this was particularly interesting because we know that 153 and 154 form a group, and that the sum of their primes.
That's dope. Okay, so what I realized ain't even just the 5 and first off, I realized the 5 and the 4 aspect. 1, 5, and 3 is just the separatism of the 4 and the 1 and 3 being 4. 5 in the center. And then, of course, 5 and 4. But what I realized is that that's 2020. So hold on. 153 and 154. Which is 9 and then 10. Because 9 would be, 153, and then 154 would be 10. 9 and 10 is 19. COVID-19, 2020. You just thinking like that on that level. Excuse me, but I am still learning. That's why we are all souls in group. Do you have a YouTube channel? It had everything PR Corey talking about it, just different perspective. What do you mean? That's my name. Fascinating. That's my name. We are learning how to get to your house. Or a family like treated a holy.
Adding to the same thing, both 20 means that the two together have this inner soul, if you like, represented as 40. And why that's particularly interesting is because they end the whole of the sonnet sequence. And as we all know, the other most famous group of sonnets is the one that begins the whole sequence, known as the procreation sonnets, of which there are 17. So once again, you get this alpha omega, the beginning and the end, 17 and 40, just as you had on the dedication to Venus and Adonis. What particularly interested me about this is the idea of adding up the divisors of a number, and I looked into that a little bit and discovered that it was very much an important thing for those who believed, going right back to Pythagoras, Euclid before, who believed in the divinity of number, and therefore were always curious about the sum of a number's divisors, which they almost regarded as the soul of that number. A perfect number, for instance, is one like 6, where the divisors 1, 2, 3, and 6 add up to twice the number itself, add up to 12. Another example of a perfect number is 28, whose divisors 1, 2, 4, 7, 14, and 28 add up to 56, which is twice 28. Why I bring this up is the mere fact that it is called a perfect number, or in Greek, teleos, arithmos, and the mere fact that it's being called perfect shows the huge importance that was placed by the ancient philosophers and mathematicians on the sum of a number's divisors, on the soul, if you like, of that number. And that did get me to ask a question, given the historic importance of the sum of the divisor of a number to the number itself. What then of that all-important number to Edward de Vere, 1740? What are the sum of its divisors, and are they important? Are they relevant? Well, there are 24 of them, and they add up to 5,040. Now, that number would have been absolutely, are they important?
You hear that? Now they're about to get on the 5,040 jump. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now the numbers have come back, just like the 4 and 5. Everything, like I say, is going to come back as far as the universal code to 432 hertz. Like I say, 4 and 3, man, with the composite and prime aspect of that. 3 and 2 and 4, Oh, man. This is great. So,
Of the sum of the divisor of a number to the number itself. What then of that all-important number to Edward de Vere, 1740? What are the sum of its divisors, and are they important? Are they relevant? Well, there are 24 of them, and they add up to 5,040. Now, that number would have meant absolutely nothing to me a week or so ago, but I just happened to have been reading a book I was given for Christmas called The Dimensions of Paradise by John Michel, written in 1971. A very excellent book indeed, Sacred Geometry, Ancient Science, and the Heavenly Order of Earth. And I just happened to remember that 5,040 came up several times in that book, so I went back to it to investigate. It was one of Plato's favorite numbers, and Plato was very well known to Edward de Vere, who as a teenager bought his first copy of a folio edition. He probably also owned the 1578 edition, this one.
I'm just going to say it's an infinite number, literally, an infinite number of numbers in the world. But 5,040 is his favorite number, or was his favorite number. Come on now. That ain't by no chance. That ain't by no chance. like I say, people pick up on, but the reason why what I'm doing is so important and special is because the fact is, uh, this right here breaks everything down to the nitty gritty. It's the simplicity. I mean, the simplest of the simple. Everybody counts with 0 through, counts and stops at 9. That's the first question that got to be, why do you stop counting at 9? Then when you can prove why you stop counting at 9, which is this right here, then you vision the whole decimal system. You have to understand the decimal system and be able to vision. So that's what this is the entire decimal system. That's just a faction. We just on the number 8 particularly, but this really could just be a whole another. This could be 0.8 or this could be 0.35 where we at in the universe, because 3 and 5 equal 8. So it's crazy how the live keep jumping back and forth between 4 and 5 people, peep holes watching. Look, yeah, they do. Between 4 and 5 people, bro. It's funny, but if y'all two in here, then that means that it's always that other one person is either FBI or CIA, one of the two. Either way it goes, it's one of the two. I know that for a fact. It's one, so I know at least one is always that person. They always gonna come through every time I go live, no matter what channel. They always gonna be there. So they leave the other two is y'all two who just comment, and then there's one other person who's staying anonymous and probably watching in case I mention anything about their homeboy or something. 9 times out of 10. That's all it is. So, yep. But yeah, I know for a fact that's like looking at just thinking about the fact that with the seats mentioning CIA and FBI and stuff like that, because I didn't caught hint, that they watching. That's why I say that confidently. The thing is, I wouldn't blame him. I would not blame him. at this point, I would not blame him. It ain't to the point of needing to call in the military. Nothing yet. To that, it ain't to that degree, unless I got some power or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is a form of intelligence like no other. And I ain't just talking out the side of my neck. I'm being real. This is a form. It's to the fucking point. It's a form of intelligence that just got to be watched. You got to keep your eye on it. You can't do nothing. It's a form of intelligence I can't even comprehend 100% yet that I'm building myself. Trying to find, so linking up stuff that's got to do with, because what this is doing what? It's revealing stuff. That's what and what's the last chapter of the Bible? What times is we living in? What I've been talking about as far as synchronicities in myself with Corona Christ, revealing revelations. So what this is doing is what's talked about in Revelation, seals. Hey, this has got to deal with seals and everything. See, it's a spiritual power beyond. And if anyone can harness that power and be able to have a relationship that you can control with that power, to where the controlling power of the world, man, what controls all of the humans. That's the only thing that could save this world. Somebody with a connection like that, to be guided through that could stop all of the evil that's going on, as far as all of the craziness in this world. All of this craziness is only a God power could stop it, because we ain't got the equipment to. You got to fight even. If you're going to have a chance, that's just a fact. You can't bring, everybody new coming up, you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, you can't bring no gun to no tank fight either. And they got tanks, they got all type of stuff ready for if we even linked up. So the only thing that can really is a God-given power like no other. I'm not saying that on Christ, I'm not saying that on God, but a lot of stuff that's synchronicities and stuff like that, man. Beyond what I see on the humane level, you know, it that conjunction, the Freemasons having the Ouroboros, because mind you, they got that within their stuff. They already had that symbol created with the it was something about that conjunction that it means something that the average person I feel like just ain't pick up on. But I'm borderline right there to know. And that's why I say it has something to do. And that's what with the when it come down to the key man, the Royal Arch degree, all of this stuff I know about to be honest, I think about Freemasonry from a level deeper than most people do. So me, myself, I speculate myself and think when people sit up here saying that they hate Freemasons and all of this stuff, with life, if they know something more, like I know about, about life when coming back here, and stuff like that. Some of us was probably, and don't think on that level, you probably say that you hate, but you probably was one in your last life if you was here before. Think about how long it been around. And I get the strong hint. I get the strong hint for whatever reason that I was one. I don't know why, but I know a little bit stuff they don't know, dude. Stuff that they don't know, man. When it comes down to the Jacob's Ladder quilt design, I didn't put them on. Like this right here is something when it comes down to their degree. That's why I say, bro, I speak like I do for a reason. I know a little bit more than what I say because I keep things discreet. But the fact is, the benefit that this is to the earth, the answers, the questions that it answers, the benefit that it is to society and the earth, and especially even Masonic society. I'm telling you, it's beyond measure, beyond measure. Because if pentagrams and stars and all of that stuff means something, I'm telling people and showing people, don't you know that the pentagram, the very pentagram, does not exist without these exact numbers that I'm showing you. You want me to prove it? I can go online and show it to you right now, the exact angles. The pentagram, golden ratio already there. With the angles, I'm trying to find it. Anyway, y'all can't see it too clear because they ain't got no good example right here. But anyway, with these angles is right here. If you could see them any clearer, the exact angles that's made by a perfect pentagon / a star pentagram, 5-point star, 36 degrees, 36, 36. What numbers is right here? 3 and 6. The next ones is 108 right here, 108 degrees. I know that y'all can. 108 degrees, 108. 1 and 8 is across from each other. They ain't got the 54, but 54 degrees is half of 108, which is if you create the halfway point. And I need a different one, man. This just ain't the. There you go. A good one. Right, the halfway, which is like I'm saying with the 4.5, half of 108 equals 54, which deals with what I'm talking about. That's how you create the next fractal. You will create the next 5-point star by doing that. 36, as you can see right there, is up there at the top. And then you see 72, 72, just like right there. And then you see the 108. Now, how does this tie in? Think about the Vitruvian Man. This star that you see right here is just like the Vitruvian Man / the Christ star. So this star is just like it's got the same exact numbers, same exact math as what you see right here. So, and think about the Eastern star. My work as well, I show how the Chicana, or this symbol right here that I'm showing the science behind, ties into the Eastern star and those elements. So that's how I know that what I got is factual. And It ain't coming from the internet. It's coming from what I know and putting it all together.
Was ultimately inscribed to Ben Jonson by his son Henry, 18th Earl of Oxford. So he knew his
Plato.
Plato
On through so I can let y'all out of here,
known
man.
that Plato talks about the number 5040 in his laws, talks about the ideal number for a city, the ideal number of citizens in it. He mentions the number 7 times, and that is because it has a very peculiar connection to the number 7. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 is 5040. 5040 also equals 7 times 8 times 9 times 10. It is also the sum of the internal angles of the first 7 shapes. I'm sure Edward De
You see that? That's highly important. Highly important. Because the thing is, that's what I got right here. It ain't the first 7 shapes, but they explaining and going back, reverting to the same exact signs that I'm showing. Those are the first. You see a triangle, a square, pentagon, basically all of the squares. That's counting basically the frequency of angles and with equilateral proportions. That's what you see right here. I got the 0, which is the point or the seed, the 1, and then the triangle. 5 is just the odd numbers, which is the odd number rule, which is what I was showing with the marijuana. It grows just like that. So it's counting the actual, just like that. So that right there just ties right back into it. And of course, you see 5 and 4 at the bottom. So it's on point, man. It's just like, that is wow.
would have known all this, and given Edward de Vere's huge interest in the stars and the planets, as one contemporary says, for who marketh better than he the 7 turning flames of the sky, he certainly would have known the book by John Dee called Preparatory Aphorisms, which discusses the number 5040, and in particular its relation to the number 7. Dee writes, man's body and all other elemental bodies are altered, disposed, ordered, pleasured, and displeasured by the influential working of the sun, moon, and other stars and planets. And since the power of the planets is unequal, nature is able to control their working in 5040 different ways. Notice also that on this page, Dee talks of Hermes Trismegistus. He's saying, as Hermes Trismegistus teaches, nothing happens to men without cosmic sympathy. I want to, therefore, look a little bit deeper at this number 5040, and particularly its connection to 7 and to 1740 and the stars. Dee's great friend, the spiritual friend Edward Kelly, wrote, God has stamped and sealed all created things with the character of Trinity as a kind of hieroglyphical writing, whereby his own nature might be known. For the number 3 and the magic number 4 make up the perfect number 7, the seal of many mysteries. And seeing that the quaternary rests within the ternary, there we go again, it is a number which stands on the horizon of eternity and doth exhibit everything bound with God in us, thus including God, men, and all created things with all their mysterious powers. So 7, therefore, is the number that represents the divinity of man and man's connection with all created things in the Trinity, which is exactly what we're talking about in terms of this Hermetic philosophy. So let us go back then to where we sort of started, the geometry of the moon and the earth, which is so fascinating and so relevant to 5040. If I were to find the very center point of the moon and the center point of the earth, put them together and join a straight line, we would find that that line is 5040 miles long. I am, of course, aware that the earth bulges around the equator. It has mountains and valleys, ditto the moon. So that I'm talking about the mean diameter.
I'm gonna prove what this. I'm gonna prove what this Earth is, man.
If I were,
I'm gonna prove through this math. It's gonna be finito. At the end of the day, globe or flat, because that's how it's gonna be proved. That's just a fact. God is supreme. Good to see you come through. Thank you for your like. Geo creation. Yeah, man, that's straight up considered the perfect triangle. I peeped that number in two. LOL. I don't know what number y'all talking about, but yeah, man. Yeah, that's I got to, bro. You know, and it's 9 times out of 10 gonna be with my own stuff. That's what's crazy. So this globe aspect is the truth.
Draw a circle with a radius of 5,040 miles. It would have a circumference of 31,680 miles. If I were to square that circle by putting a square around it, which has each of its sides the same as the diameter of the Earth, that's 7,920 miles, then that square, as we saw at the beginning, would be 31,680 miles, i.e. it'd be precisely the same as the circumference of the green circle. Now, this is very extraordinary, you might think, because we're dealing with something that is God-made, the moon and the Earth, and we seem to be finding some repetition that we saw in the Vessalian Man of Leonardo da Vinci and in the hieroglyphic monad of John Dee. This goes on, this very extraordinary situation. If I were to put a square round the moon such that each of its sides is equal to the diameter of the moon and then draw diagonals across it like that, I would find I have two perfect Pythagorean 3, 4, 5 right-angled triangles. You might think, well, that's quite ordinary, quite normal,
3,
but it
4,
isn't.
5.
You've got to think, if the moon were 60 miles fatter or the Earth were 100 miles shorter or whatever, this simply wouldn't be possible. And the triangles, the perfect right-angled triangles, are worshipped, going right back to Pythagoras and to the ancient Egyptians. There's something extremely special about a triangle with those proportions of those sides. If I give you the actual miles of each of those lines, you see straight away something, again, rather peculiar, that the two sides opposite the hypotenuse are equal to 5,040, this number that we seem to keep coming back to. Here I'm introducing to you the Platonic solids, the 4-sided tetrahedron, the 6-sided cube, the 8-sided octahedron, and the 20-sided isosahedron. I bring these ones up because they are known as the Platonic solids, that were the symbols of the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Underneath them, I put the sum of their internal angles, and straight away you might realize something funny is going on. If we look at water, the isosahedron has internal angles of 3,600 degrees, the same number as we have in miles up on the hypotenuse of this triangle up there. If we look at Earth, the internal angles are 2,160 degrees, which in miles is the same as the diameter of the moon. Octahedron, air, has internal angles of 1,440 degrees, which is exactly half of that third side. If I were to add up all of the internal angles of all of these Platonic solids, I would find they come to 7,920 degrees, which is the same in miles as the diameter of the Earth. If I were just to add octahedron and isosahedron, the air and water, their combined internal angles come to 5,040. The fire, the tetrahedron, is particularly interesting. See, it's in the shape of a pyramid, and they say sometimes that the word pyre or pyromaniac is connected to pyramid through fire. Its internal angles are 720 degrees, and that number connects to all of the numbers in miles that we have in our diagram of the moon and the Earth. So if we look at that 3, 4, 5 triangle at the top, 3 times 720 is 2,160, 4 times is 2,880, 5 times is 3,600, 7 times, here we go with 7 again, is 5,040, and 11 times 720 is 7,920. So something very strange seems to be going on, and I hope you begin to understand why the ancients, who believed that God created the universe using number and geometry, were not simply believing in what they wanted to believe in the fable. They were very, very clever people indeed, who saw the connection, mathematical connection, between the natural world and numbers and geometry, and therefore believed that is how God created it. And not only that, that brings us to the Hermetic belief. Why do we see this? Why are we able to understand that this isosahedron, which is water, connects to these different figures? Well, it's because we have the mind of God. This doesn't end here, this most extraordinary thing, because if you were to divide 5040 into twice the diameter, we get pi 22/7. Pi, of course, that most mysterious and perplexing of all numbers that relates to the ratio of the diameter of a circle to its circumference. If we were to triangulate this in such a way that the base, the diameter of the Earth, is joined to the apex at the center of the moon, and then we can divide this hypotenuse, 6,409.61 miles, by this radius, which is 3,960 miles, we get 1.618, which is phi, that golden ratio exemplified by the Fibonacci sequence that we find in so much of God's creation, from flowers.
And that's what's important about that one, because this goes into what I discovered with my stuff. That's what I was saying with the with my discovery. I got the angles of the Great Pyramid by taking this right here, and the capstone that I chose to do was put one right here in this, raise it up one and put one right here in the center at the halfway point. That's how I created. And what I ended up with when I measured out the angle, it ended up being at 51 degrees, perfectly at 51 degrees. I could do it now, but I ain't gonna, get and do all of that nonsense. But came out to be 51 degrees. What significance is that? Because the Great Pyramids of Giza got to deal with the, Fibonacci sequence, just like they just mentioned. And that triangle right there is actually the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's actually the exact same angle. So what I'm saying is, through this 45-degree concept that I got right here, 25, this is 5 by 5. One side, the squares is made right here. The staircase is made on a 5 by 5 grid. That's 5 squares, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Length times width equals your area. So at the end of the day, 5 times 5 is 25. And you got two sides that mirror each other. So 25 and 25 equals 50. So at the end of the day, the grid is made on a 50-50. But once I put in that one thing, that one simple thing right there, and then I calculate the angle of it, it comes out to be 51 degrees, just like the Great Pyramid, because I put one square, it would be 51 blocks, but it would also be 51 degrees. You get what I'm saying? And it comes out to be the exact same as that pyramid, just like this whole earth, and square, and putting that. So my work come out to be, man, it's something else, man. Like, and it's simple, because in the way that I do that is because at the end of the day, everything has to be simple, because everything that's complex is only able to exist based off of simple counterparts, little bitty parts that make something a huge big picture. Like a huge equation don't exist. The smartest people who know how to figure out all of them huge equations and stuff like that don't exist without the simple numbers and the basic stuff that all come together that you got to go through to figure out all of that stuff in the end. But all I realize within life is that it's a straight line from point A to point B. That's the one thing that I realize within life is from point A to point B is always a straight line. And what I'm saying is, you're gonna have obstacles, but you can always jump over them and do all of that type of stuff and go straight to point. And I'm not gonna just go through all of the obstacles and all of the equations and stuff necessarily just to seem or sound smart. If it's just a simplistic way just to go straight to point A and point B, and that's what all of my work is. It's just a straight way. Nope. And that's why I say it's probably something that they did not want me. That did not need to get figured out. That's what I was starting to I think that folks is, I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much for some people, man. I didn't figure it out too much, because, and it's all been alone. Nobody nobody talks to me because I don't talk to. I hate to say it, but I don't talk to my father. So he is a Freemason, yes, but we ain't super close like that. Within my life like that. Recently, we ain't. So he got no play in the role of me knowing what I know or nothing. Everything I've done has been me by no Freemason and no lodge I could ever see figuring nothing like this out. That's the funniest thing about it. I could never see them working on or talking about nothing like this. That's the funny thing about it. But it ties into what real masonry is, real building, architecture. All of that stuff that really matter is what I'm focused on as far as Freemasonry. All of the other stuff, as far as rituals, all of the other stuff that they get into, not messed up about it. Not messed up at all. Ain't trying to have no parts in it because it is what it is on my end. And I created my own stuff. So, the straight path is the invisible mind /9. Yeah, the 9 is the line. That's right. Yep. Straight up.
To snail shells, to DNA, and of course we use it in computers.
DNA.
God knows what. It's a very a great force of creation, phi. And there it is, just sitting there, just as these angles, 51.84, sitting there. And all of this triangle is replicated precisely in the cross-section of the last remaining great wonder of the world, the Great Pyramid at Giza. The Egyptians, when they built it, measured the pyramid at Giza in Royal Egyptian cubits, of course, not in miles. So the base is 440 Royal Egyptian cubits.
And I showed y'all information.
80, and the perimeters of.
I showed y'all information about that, about the cubit. How much is a cubit? Watch this, because a lot of people don't know this. It come back right back to the 5 and the 4, 4 and 5. Cubit in centimeters. You see that? 45.27. So 1 cubit equals 45.70, or not 27, but 72 centimeters. What the hell? And then the point. That's why I said it's a significance between 4 and 5 and 7. That's why I say I ain't just missed. I'm a numerologist, like on another level, like like natural, because the thing is, I ain't just talked about just 45. It takes somebody to really listen, man. I went in on a lot of different numbers, but 27 is an inclusive extremely, because 2 and 7, that's where the whole square is made within my stuff. That's what makes the perfect square everywhere. So when they talk about the essence of square and the circle, that's why I showed y'all whenever you divide, you keep on dividing the circle evenly. After the 45 degrees, it keeps on being 2 on one side of the decimal. 2 and 5 on the other side of the decimal, and then 11 on the other side, which 11 plus 2.25 is basically, let me show it, because I'm saying the wrong thing. Let me just go to it. So you take 360 divided by 2. You get 180. Divided by 2, you get 90. Divided by 2, you get 45. Divided by 2, you get 45. Divided by 2, 22.5. So 0.5 on one side. This is where it starts to divide by 2. 11.25. 25.25 is a quarter. 1 quarter equals 1/4. 1 plus 4 equals 5. So 0.25, the quarter is coming back to the 1 and the 4. Just like, the moon is separated into quarters and stuff like that. But you get 2, which is 11. 1 plus 1 equals 2 on that. That's why I said 2, and then 7 on this side. So divided by 2 again. And you get 5 point. Now the decimal is moving, animation, moving throughout the numbers. But the last 2 digits is always 25. And then you got 5.6, 5 and 6 is 11. So 11 and 25. It's always going to be 11. And then, so divided by 2 again. Point, and then 25 is the last ones. But 8 plus 1 plus 2 equals 11, 12, 13. Hold on. Did I do something wrong? I don't think that I did. Let me check and see. 11.25 divided by 2. Divided by 2. Oh, I added. I'm so silly. 2 and 5 is the last digits. I ain't supposed to add 8, 1, and 2. I'm tripping. 2 and 5, cancel them out. You get 2 and 5 like that, and then you end up with 8, 1, and then 2, which is 11 again. And the last two digits is 2 and 5. So divided by 2 again. 25 is the last two digits. Cancel them out. 1406 equals 11, because 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 plus 6 equals 11. Divide again. The last two digits is 25. 7 plus 0 plus 3 plus 1 equals, well, 7 plus 3 equals 10. 1 plus 11. Just doing that real quick. So it's all, and if again, I didn't think it was going to go no more, but anyway, 3 plus 5 equals 8. 8 plus 1 equals 9. 9 plus 5 equals 14. 14 plus 5 equals, 14 plus 5. 14 plus 6 equals 20. So you get the 2 plus 2 and 0. So it's just like the 11, but it's 2, But the thing is, it's 225. If you realize it, it's always going to be 225. 25 is left alone. It never gets touched. It stays the same. But it's always going to be 2 and then 25. 2. All of the digits add up to 2, then 25. So that right there is just like if you take 2 and 2, you end up with 4. Add like terms, like they told us in school. Combine like terms. That's where that comes into use. And you get 4, and then you get 5 on the as a terminal. So that's just that right there on that end. And to conclude the video, because it's got 3 more minutes and it'll be done, I can let y'all go.
4 times 440, which is 1,760 Royal Egyptian cubits. You might recognize that number, 1,760, because that is the number of yards in the statute mile. Now, you've got to remember that miles were formalized, let's say, probably by John Dee in 1592 in London. So there's some weird connection going on here. Just as the fact that we're talking about Royal Egyptian cubits, but the English cubit was divided into 18 inches. And it's a very curious fact that if you times these Royal Egyptian cubit measurements by 18, we get right back to where we started. So 440 times 18 is 7,920, which in miles is the diameter of the Earth. 280 times 18 is 5,040, which is the combined radius of the Moon and the Earth. And 1760 times 18 is 31,680, which, as we saw, was the circumference of that green circle and also the perimeter of that purple square. So a lot of extremely rum things going on that connect us with our 5,040 and bring us back to Dee and his extraordinary Monus Hieroglyphica that carries the same great secret as the Great Pyramid at Giza. And that secret is ultimately telling us, as I said, that man is divine, hence that ancient wisdom. Now, just before I leave this subject, a very interesting point about English miles. You might be saying to yourself, why do I keep banging on about English miles when I'm talking about Egyptian monuments where that mile didn't exist? The relation between ancient measurements and the mile was devised, as I say, probably by Dee very specifically and very carefully. If we look at the ratio of the Greek mile to the Roman mile, it's the same as the ratio of the English mile to the Greek mile, which is 25/24. And here's an interesting thing. 1 Greek mile equals 5,040 English feet. If I take large round numbers
25/24,
Greek feet, cubits, miles, Roman feet, cubits, miles, and put them all into English feet, you will notice that there seems to be a common factor that relates one to the other, and that is the number 5 5040. So that 5040 becomes an extremely important number, not only in the alignment of the planets, the conjunction of the planets as D tells us, but also in the measurement of the Earth, and therefore the connection between 5040 and 7.
Measurement of the Earth. Like I said, what does the word geometry translate to? That's exactly what geometry is. Geo means earth, and then metry, obviously, is metrics, measure. So that's how I know all the terminology, all of the science, everything that they're saying, it loops back right around to what I'm doing. This is the measuring of the Earth. That's why I said the Nazca lines is the true. People been, because the grid that people have been looking at, it ain't the real grid. Dave even voiced that that's just a theory grid as far as the Earth's field, the ley lines. That's not the real grid, So the real grid is yet to be produced and shown. And I really strongly feel like the evidence is pointing to this being it. Real talk. Because this is infinite expansion. If we're talking about the Earth, being an infinite plane, shit. It's right here, because I mean, technically speaking, man, the Earth could be either one of these squares. Actually, within the line, within either, and that's just crazy to even think. The full Earth, that is crazy. That's some crazy shit. The whole circumference of the Earth and our whole existence could, even within a piece of infinity, we could be just a dot like this on the paper. And that could, no, I ain't saying that's what it is though. Because honestly, to be real, me on my end, I don't think it's an infinite plane. I don't subscribe to the whole, I don't think it's infinitely expanding. I feel like we are in a continuous circuit, a life circuit. And the circuit is, pretty much a circle. And that is what the Earth is. We ain't got to say globe or flat on that end. What we do know is that the sun and moon circle above we witness a circle above our heads, and we witness that, circles and fractal in nature. So, that's just my stance on that.
1940, being the sum of its devisors, must have been of extreme relevance and importance to Edward de Vere, because not only was he aligning himself to the Trinity in 1740, but through the soul of that number, 5040, he was very much aligning himself to God as geometer, as the grand architect of the universe, and to that great G, the seventh God, as geometer, as the grand architect of and important.
Oh my gosh, bro. This is it, bro. I didn't even watch, because I cut it off at 54 at that last part, bro. I ain't seen this part. Geometer. Geometer of all names. And the great architect of the, what the heck have I been calling myself? The great. I've been telling people I'm the architect. There's two things within this video I done called out that they done said that's very much similar to me, man. That is crazy, dude. And then they put the square of the compass right there. Geometer as the great architect of the boy. Damn, that's crazy. I bet you Nikola Tesla, all of the geniuses probably looking at this right here and they blown away. Like real talk. Yeah. And that is funny to me, man. I'm telling you, bro. Damn, bro. Bro, they probably like, because 3, 6, and 9, where can you find 3, 6, and 9 in nature? Humans ain't got 3 fingers. We ain't got 3 limbs. Nowhere on us. It ain't, we ain't got 6 nowhere on us. Not even, but 9 is even questionable because we got 0.5s, which is 2 different fingers is different, but we got 4 and then we got 5 right here. Or, well, 5 together, but you know what? We can't find 3, 6, and 9 nowhere on our body. You know what I mean? So that's why I say when people think outside of the box, what is a key to the universe? A key to the universe, the universe is literally what do everything have in common. You know, the universe doesn't necessarily just have just the numbers 3, 6, and 9 in common. That's why I say it doesn't stop there. You got to be able to think outside of just the narrative that they already got out there. And at the end of the day, almost every single living, I'm not saying everyone, but almost every single living thing that you can witness on this earth has 4 petals and a head. And that's just a fact. 4 points and the 5th point, which is their head, the controlling point. Dogs, cats, lions, tigers, bears, everything you could think of got 4. They walk on all 4s and got 1 head. So that's 4 and 5 is the key to the more than 3, 6, and 9. Just being honest. Just being honest. It's some serious mystery, like, because it's through the 4 and the 5, through this knowledge right here, the 45-degree angle. That's how I found out about the 360 degrees. That's how I found out, because what's 360 divided by? And that's what I was saying in the previous video too. My work has answered so many different answers alone by itself. Before you can talk about 360 degrees in a circle, why do we stop counting at 9? Once you can answer that, which is through my work, base 10. What's 9 times 10? Is 90. The base of this triangle is 10 characters, 10 units at that, 10 cubits, or whatever you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is why I said with the numbers, when you really get to counting for place value and everything, then that's where the names of the numbers and everything can really be speculated on not being or being, shifted. Because 1, your mouth is open, like 0, 1 is started spelling with the letter O, just like 0 is synonymous to O. So 1 could be 1, and then 2, which is TWO. I linked that, and that's how I got to the Twin Towers aspect. Because 1 and 1 is 2 twin 2s, okay? If the number 1 becomes number 2, then these are 2 twin 2s, or 2 twin TWOs, or 2 twin TOWs, which is 2 twin towers, okay? TOW, TWO, spelled with the same words. And going to from something, the only way that you can, when you go to something, you create a line. That's a fact. That's an action. If somebody say go to the store, you're going to create a straight line to the store if it's a straight line. Or if they say go from point A to point B, if you could trail your energy, you will leave a straight line. That's just a fact. So when you go to one place, the action of going to somewhere is actually a line, which is just like the number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 9 would be the point of 10. Does it function like 10? Yes, it does, because once you get to 10, is really when people consider us, starting over with the numbers. But when you think about it, it's 9, because at 9, once you get to 10, it starts back over. 1 plus 0 equals 1. So 9 is really the last number. That's where this whole shift in the significance of 0 coming into play, which they didn't know about until a certain time comes in. 0 is so significant with the 360 degrees aspect. So base 10, 9 times 10 equals 10. Equals 90. And then you got these 4 circuits that I got right here, which is what I was showing the significance of with my work with the Nazca lines. Same people who discovered the zero, which is the Mayans and stuff like that, with the Nazca lines, that might be the work that they left behind, proving such, or the work that they did, part of it. A lot of people say 360 degrees, we use it because of the sky and stuff like that, the number of days and everything. Well, that's the thing. How do you calculate the number of days and stuff? Once, you do that by matching the sun. I mean, looking at the sun movements and uh, at different points of the year where it elapses back to a same point. But this right here, this quadrant right here, 9, which is all where all of them add up to be, because you got positive and negative. That's the significance. That's why everything is cut in half. And this line is made at the 7 and 2 and 1 and 8 section, just like I was showing with right here. That's a huge significance between 2 and 7. But 9 times 4 is 36. And like I said, this is a base 10 system, which is 360. You can pretty much draw lines from every single one of these to the corners of every single one of these and get a degree. And it's just like a protractor. This one right here. So yeah, man, that's I think this thing got probably 1 more minute, bro.
To Edward de Vere, because not only was he aligning himself to the Trinity in 1740, but through the soul of that number, 5040, he was very much aligning himself to God as the geometer, as the grand architect of the universe, and to that great G, the 7th letter, placed at the center of that iconic mark, the square and compass emblem of Freemasonry. I really hope that this has not been too complicated, too esoteric. I do try my hardest to make these presentations as clear and as simple and as memorable as possible, because I think they contain enough significant material to show that Edward de Vere was the man behind the pseudonym William Shakespeare, but also to show that in his mind, at least, in Dee's mind, in Bacon's mind, that the works of Shakespeare were written by God and Edward de Vere. Thank you very much indeed for listening to this, and please subscribe, please press the bell button, and you'll be notified when the next presentation is ready.
That's what's up. So yeah, man, that pretty much concludes it. That's what I had to show y'all regarding the essence of 5 and 4, once again being notorious and coming up, and who knows, it may be something else 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month from now, that I'll be showing once again. It's back, because this was 3 weeks ago that they made this video, so I just caught on. 3 weeks ago, that's actually when the question came up to me, is when what have people learned about the 4 and 5? Well, had I saw this video, it probably came out the day before or right around that time, same day probably, that question was even thrown up in the air. So it'll infinitely be something to learn from it, because the reason why I say that is there's never been anything learned from it at all. People have never seen. People have never paid any attention to it besides the stuff like I'm showing now. It's the closest evidence of it. But to this simplistic type of value, to the root, which is, like I say, how would 5040 exist without the essence of the decimal system, re-looping back at the number 9? That's what I'm getting at. People got to remember that. That's why the basics matter. That's why I say it's once I'm cutting the chase. Without the essence of 10 and looping back at the number 9, after 9, then you would just end up, you ain't got the system. You don't have the order. And 5040 does not exist without the essence of this system that I got outlaid right here, the looping back at 9. And that's where all of the polarity and everything can play out like it do. Because like I say, it's one block under 1. You know, it's 2 blocks under 2. But just like over here in 3, you know, synonymous with the numbers, but it's 4 blocks under 5. 4 is the polar opposite of 5. It's 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, before you get back to the base under 6. And 3, it's always, and then 2 over here, 8, 9, 0 blocks under 9, just like 0 block. So this is the polarity. Not only, it's not just what that proves is what significance is that, is what I'm saying. It's these numbers. As far as me, a lot of people would say numbers, symbols is man-made. That's what I'm showing. Without these symbols, if I just took the symbols away and just left it color-coded, the science would still be there. That's what I'm proving. Because if I took those away, can't nobody tell me there's, you know, 1 ain't 1, which is 1 will be under here. So nobody could tell me that 1 ain't 1. You change the name of it if you want to or anything, but at the end of the day, is on. And that's just a fact. So right here is the same as that would be under here. So and equal, you know what, and you keep it going. It's frequency and counting, you know, thinking in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. So without the symbols themselves, what my work proves is that you can take these symbols away, the same science is still going to be there. Everything is still going to be polar as far as the number itself, and you can't do that with any other number preceding any other system. I've already tried it, and others can try too. And everything is at 45 degrees of an angle. Likewise, at 45 degrees of an angle, you got everything 4.5 in the center. And likewise, at 4.5 is in the center, all numbers that we use within this family system of 0 through 9 all add up to be 45. And that ain't just by no chance. And just like they just showed with 50-40, you know, hey, that same numbers. It's a polarity aspect. What, you know, it's still a mystery, but I'm just showing y'all, you know, the facts behind everything that I do, man, all of the work that I put in. So I appreciate y'all sitting with me. Kelly Green, I sure appreciate you because you always sit through and, you know, you be hearing me out. That's real talk. And I appreciate the shout out on Sanchez's channel as well. So, yeah, you know, that's just a fact. So 45 is on the rise. And this one is, man, I like how this one look. I'll let y'all get a quick close up because this one is wild, man. I mean, I don't know whether y'all saw the numbers. See, I showed y'all because I put out that other video, but it is wild as far as detail and all of that stuff. But this will be done today. And number 9 will be the next one that I'll move on to. And the top of the pyramid will be officially done. The background will be started soon. And once the background is starting to be done, hey, we pretty much finishing up, man. It'll be time to walk into, it'll be time. It'll be that time. And that's where the results come. That's why I say right now, we just building. I'm just this is just the start, man. But, you know, what's to come is going to be impeccable and amazing. Like, I ain't want to be famous for no petty stuff, you know, just for tattooing. Anybody can do that, you know. Like that girl I brought up earlier, you know, a lot of people say, man, you would have been a cold tattoo artist. Let me know, hit me up when you start doing tattoos, you know. All type of stuff I still get sometimes, but that would have been a generic route to take. I see myself as, you know, above just those generic things that people do just for money. Because I know that that's why people really do it as far as the tattoos. It's not nothing I really want to do. It's just be putting stuff on people's skin, have that on me as far as putting some on their skin. They might not really even be proud of years from then. They might want to get my art covered up at that point. And I don't really want to contribute to that. I see myself as an artist putting my time into stuff that is everlasting and the earth would rather do something that the earth needs, that everybody in here. I've done something that everybody on the face, every continent is coming back to show links to what I've discovered and done. Every race is something so unifying worldwide to where it's something I couldn't really trade for nothing basic like that. You know, the millions to come from this right here. And I could say billions like Marco Rota said, but I know I'm black. So I can only expect so much. But the millions to come from this, man, goodness, man, you know, it was worth the ride, real talk. And I know I'm talking like it's done already, but that's because it is done, you know. I know a little something to realize with this whole thing and this project, a little something about life, man. Like I say about seeing some things into the future. I hope a lot of people is still fortifying themselves, like the message I've been saying. You know, it's very important to fortify yourself. But I do got a future vision. Can see some things a little bit clearer. I know what's to come a little bit more than the average. Uh, so the direction that my stuff is going, that's why you're seeing the stuff, and I keep on being able to come back because God's showing it's on the way. It's, it's on the way. It don't matter how much people don't want it or you know what that people think. It's on the way. It's being done, and it's only getting better at that over time. So, so just like my great grandma used to say, hold your horses, because it's on the way, you know, and you know, it's just gonna be fantastic. Something the whole earth shall know. Pyramid is built here with knowledge. That's why we got to change what we doing, man. You know, I'm gonna draw pictures like the Egyptians did of us with cell phone. I'm gonna be real about what we doing. It's gonna be pictures of us inscribed with our daily with the cell phones, the art culture that I like Picasso started a different art wave. He started an art wave where people started to do art that was, you know, very similar to his. You know, people didn't do abstract type of art and incorporate that with really mix that like that and make millions off of that just by that alone. People didn't do that until Picasso came around. He started a wave. And that's how I see myself, not like Picasso, but as PR Corey, as Corey, by my own self and my influence to start a wave like that with Stone and everything. Like that's the wave that I'm gonna start next is to put it like I'm gonna be real about our life and what we've done. I'm gonna actually draw inscriptions of us with cell phones, the life that we was living in. It, you know, if people don't like the imagery that they see, it'll influence them to change the life that they live into a better life. If people don't want us to have a horrible image inscribed of us and what we did, we should change how we living in. That way we can leave an artist like myself who's gonna create that stuff. Cause it ain't gonna be I'm gonna be dead and gone or 9 times out of 10 based off of the words that I'm speaking right now. Gonna come back and be that exact artist, not knowing I was the architect who started it all. Who started it all, you know, shit, drew out the whole everything that I'm drawing and come back as the worker. But be based off of the fact that I dedicated my time to what I did, be in the best position, the greatest position through it all. Because God knows that you did this. You don't even know it, but you where you at because of what. And that's a lesson that people can learn about life in itself. What you doing matters as far as what's going to happen in the next life. What you going to be doing, how you set up. It's all going to overlap and overlay in some type of way. And that's how I'm looking at my life and staying, you know, man, it's just a journey, bro. This shit is crazy, bro. This shit is crazy, bro. And I am proud of myself, dude. Like, because it's been discovery after discovery after discovery. Because this one right here is within itself. Top of the line. Top of the line and gonna be kept forever. Real talk. That's what we need. So it'll have to be refurbished and everything, but it's top of the line. And I ain't got to finish as far as the code, so nobody can copy it, even though they can't even say what it say anyway. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all go, bro. I ain't gonna hold y'all. You said happy to be on this journey with you all. That's 100 real talk. But yeah, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and go, man. I ain't gonna hold you no more. Peace out.